Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
Your weekly dose of romance and drama has arrived. Season 29 of The Bachelor is here, and Grant Ellis, certified hottie and former day trader, is trading his day job on Wall Street for a second chance at everlasting love. New episodes drop every Monday at 8/7 Central, bringing you fresh twists in Grant's journey to find his soulmate. This self-proclaimed mama's boy is all grown up and ready to invest his heart. Will his playful charm win over the house full of hopefuls, or will the competition prove too intense? From heartfelt moments to adrenaline-pumping dates, each week brings new surprises in the mansion. Will Grant find his perfect match or end up with a broken heart? Tune in every Monday at 8/7 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu for new episodes of The Bachelor.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello and welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Yay indeed, Jimmie. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us this week. Oh, boy, we have a crazy, literally gravity-defying edition of Crime and Sports, as we'll find out all about. But before we get to that, would like to thank everybody, of course, for your reviews this week, because they mean a lot, and you guys always come through for us. So thank you. If you haven't done it yet, please do that. Apple Podcast, the purple icon, whatever the hell that is. If you haven't done it, please give us 5 stars. It doesn't matter what you say. Say you're following instructions, following directions. We don't know why, but it helps drive you up the charts.
Yeah.
We're not sure why, but thank you for everyone that does it. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com for all of your crime and sports and small town murder needs, all of your shirts and mugs and, geez, they have all sorts of stuff now. I think they have shoes now. There's all sorts of crazy stuff going on over there. Lots of stuff. Also, you can get tickets to live shows.
Please do.
Full slate of small town murder live shows laid out. Crime and Sports is sold out, but we're working on more for 2020. So don't worry. We're coming. Don't worry. We're working it out. Yeah. We're going to be there. So that's all wonderful. If you want to be a hero of ours, an absolute, just a shining beacon,
goddamn angel
atop a hill, you can do that very easily by going to patreon.com/crimeinsports or heading over to PayPal and using our email address, which is crimeinsports@gmail.com to make a one-time donation. And you can get to both of those links right directly from
shutupandgivememurder.com.
It's just so convenient.
It's so simple.
So amazing. So thank you guys for everybody who has done that, plans on doing that, or even if you don't want to do that. Yeah. Either way, thanks for thinking about it for 2 seconds. Anyway.
Thank you.
We appreciate everybody. Every damn cent that you do, every cent you send us is incredibly appreciated. And we have a wild show today.
Sure.
It's interesting. It's different. We haven't done this sport in a long, long time.
No.
It's been years for us. So it's a one like that. It's interesting there. Next week, by the way, just to give you a heads up.
A little tickle?
Next week is a very, very, very famous person.
Oh.
Like, very famous. Everyone on Earth knows who this person is.
Wow.
Because
we already did OJ.
They're a human peacock, so you'll see. You'll see who we're talking about next week. It's going to be very fun next week, though.
Right.
We'll say it's going to be wild. This week, though, we're gonna shoot into the sky from a pool or a half pipe.
All
with a
right, we got a skater.
Another skater this week. Yeah, it's been a long time. We love Gator.
Was that the only one we've
Gator
done?
Rogowski. It was like our 8th or 9th episode.
Yeah.
That was the only one and only skater we've done.
That?
And I have like 5 of them to do, too.
Right.
Like 5, 6 guys.
Good.
Crazy stuff. This one's kind of the most famous of the bunch.
Okay.
And the kind of it's an interesting story that we don't get all the time.
Yeah.
So it's one of these. So we'll do this kind of story.
Tell me
here.
how much Tony Hawk sucks.
Well, no. Actually, that's the thing about this guy. You look at this guy and where he is now and where he was, and you look at Tony Hawk and you go, oh, he could have been right there.
Could have been him.
Oh, I mean, it was close, as close as it could be, if not for a complete he's responsible for it. This is why it's crime in sports. It's of completely his own volition. He didn't like hurt himself or anything like that.
I love when you get so excited to say why something happened, and then
I'm making hand gestures and like no one can see these, but I'm trying. Damn it! So let's talk about him. Let's talk about Christian Hosoi.
Oh, great!
You know Christian Hosoi,
the little Asian guy.
He's a little Asian skater. He's Christian Rasha Hosoi.
Is that Filipino? What is he?
No, he's Japanese. Okay. He's half Japanese. His dad's
Is Filipino Asian?
Yes, it's in Asia. It's in Asia.
Is an Asian islander?
There it is.
Yahtzee.
Yes, you nailed it. He's has nothing to do with the Philippines though. So
But he's a pretty darker fellow, right? Like a Filipino darkened skin.
his dad's a Hawaiian of Japanese descent. So he's
I'm on board now.
It's just one of those. His mom's a white lady named Bonnie.
Oh,
so there's that.
Weird.
Yeah, well, that's it. So why is it weird?
Just because I'm looking at Christian in my head and I'm like, that guy doesn't look like he has a white lady named Bonnie.
That's true. Yeah, Bonnie, you picture big blonde hair.
Yeah.
Big blonde. Hi, I'm Bonnie. Hi, y'all.
Yeah.
That's a hi, y'all kind of name. Hi, y'all. Bonnie here.
Big boobs and an apron and some hips
just
and
some platinum blonde hair going up there. Yeah, old school style. Old school Bonnie. So, he's born in 1967, October 5th, 1967 here. His dad's name is Ivan. His mom's name is Bonnie. And they have Christian Hosoi here. There's like religious meanings to his name, according to his father. His first name is Christian, obviously. Right. His middle name has something to do with Jewish faith, and then last name is something to do with Buddhism.
That makes a lot of sense.
So that's what his dad says. His dad's kind of not a hippie, but like a kind of a counterculture kind of dude.
All right.
He's an artist,
freewheeling
painter, smokes weed and freewheeling kind of cat. You know what I mean?
Fix a name from 3 different religions, and label him up.
It's the 60s.
Guess what my boy is? I dare you. Come on. Look at his skin, look at his face, and listen to his names and guess, motherfucker.
I mean, Christian Hosoi, and you look at him, and you go, okay, that makes sense. He looks Asian and whatever.
So you throw that Jewish name in there.
Yeah, Russia, but I mean that. Who knows?
I mean, you could guess that's Pacific Islander or
you don't
Japanese.
Know. If you don't know, who the hell knows?
Yeah, no idea.
If you're not a part of the culture.
If you're like me and stupid as fuck.
Just ignorant to all things Asian, which I am. I freely admit that.
Cultural.
Yeah, I have no idea. So the family starts out in L.A., where he's born, and they move to Hawaii and then back to L.A., and they kind of go back and forth, and we'll talk about here. They move to Berkeley when he's very young. From L.A., they move up to Berkeley. Like his parents were there for all the Berkeley, the peace stuff that was going on.
There was no way this kid was not going to say tubular as a description of something.
It was just he was destined from a young age. Here, I guess in Berkeley here, Ivan attended graduate school in art at this point, and then they end up coming back down to Los Angeles after a couple years, and this is when L.A. is changing in the 70s. L.A. if you 70s L.A. is watch a Zodiac killer thing, even though that's northern, but Charles Manson stuff. It's the 70s LA is it's just a different type of place. It's way different than now.
It's not today.
It's not today. Watch Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke and you're like, wow, what is that? It's like another planet. It's like another planet from right now. So he says he was skating before he could walk, basically. He said he was, if he could stand up, they had him on a board, which, I mean,
it doesn't make any sense.
It's like Todd Marinovich was throwing a football before he could throw a football.
Right.
It's same shit. He said, but he was a kid, very, very young, toddler, younger than that, when a friend of the family brought a skateboard over to the house, and they would roll him on the kitchen floor and do all that, and he kind of learned there. He said he doesn't remember his first skateboard because he got it when he was so young. Like that's how long he's been into it. And this is well before this was common. You know what I mean? Skating in the 50s had a little blip, and then it kind of went away in the 60s, except for a few people. And then in the 70s, it started to come back. But I don't know if you know the history of skating, but it's just one of those things where it's all based on equipment, basically. Like they had metal wheels back in the day where they're terrible. You can't fucking ride around on metal wheels
on that shit.
You can't. If you hit a rock, you're they don't slide. It's just bad metal wheels. So
do you skateboard or do you do meth? Which is the reason that all your teeth are gone?
That's the thing. Yeah. Which one is it? Did you hit them on some coping at the top of a pool, or have you or both? Because that happens a lot as well. There's a few of our guys that we found here. That happens a lot. But at this point, apparently, this was the new polyurethane wheels had just come out in the 70s, and that's when people started skating, because that's when you could skate, and it was comfortable and fun. Yeah. Metal wheels, I mean, your whole...
I can't imagine.
That's terrible. They have no shock or anything like that. They have no resistance to anything.
They're not soft at all.
They're not soft at all. They're awful here. So, this was kind of like he got like a modern skateboard here that had trucks and these wheels. It was better. Now, they moved to Hawaii. They moved to Oahu in 1974. And his parents are still together and everything like that. His parents are going to get divorced pretty quickly here. And I guess his dad was a surfer too and all that sort of shit. Yeah. And they would hang out at the beach all the time. And, he was like, that seems like a really decent life for a 7-year-old kid to go hang out at the beach all the time.
From LA to Hawaii?
Learn to surf. Yeah. And it's not a bad life for this kid at all here.
Most kids do that and they have to go right the fuck back to LA to their regular life.
That's the thing.
This guy's going there and that is life.
That's life for him and his every day. He said his dad's a real free spirit, the way he describes it. His dad's a free spirit. His mother is way more not a free spirit.
Okay. She's regimented.
Yeah, and you have to, I guess that makes sense because you have to have some sort of balance. I guess if the two of them are like that, they'd lose the kid in a riptide. Where is he? I don't know. Were you watching him? I don't know.
Did you see that turtle?
He floated on out. He'll be back. Yeah. Hey, you know what? If you love something, you let the riptide take it. And if the ocean current brings it back, it was meant to be.
That's the Hawaiian thing.
That's the Hawaiian, yeah. I think that's what Hakuna Matata means, too. I'm not sure. So it's like that, and it's also Hawaiian for something, and several different things. And just let the riptide take it.
That's how I picture anybody that lives in Hawaii. It's just like the most fucking attitude on earth.
Well, it's so laid back. Yeah. It's hard not to be really laid back.
We're not going anywhere.
I mean, it's fine. If you want to get off the island, it's going to take hours and days. Just days. So you might as well just relax and stay here and just chill the fuck out about it. Yeah.
Who cares?
You'd either walk around going crazy that you're trapped on this island, or you'd be like, all right.
You just chill that you're trapped on an island.
Shrugging your shoulders, man. Either take it and be cool with it or run away screaming. So, it was, his mother, though, is very much kind of, he takes control of the family, makes sure the bills are paid and shit like that, because dad's a little bit more of a free spirit.
Loosey-goosey.
He's doing art and things of that nature here. So he said that his mother would tell him that he's got to keep his head on straight when he was a kid and stuff like that. She was very, she was well dressed and it's just different than the father. Very, very different. Mm-hmm. So then they moved back to LA from Hawaii. Yeah. So they're going back and forth here. He says that his mother worked for some big company in Beverly Hills, and she was a secretary, had to get dressed up and go work at some fancy place then. And he says that his mother was the only person that could make him do shit. Yeah. Because everything else was very laid back, but he listened to his mom. Because everybody else, nobody cared. He could just do whatever, he wanted.
Sure.
But she is also, he says, she was into art also, because the father was into art. She liked weed and all that kind of shit too. So, she's also sort of, I don't want to call them hippies, but she's just more.
She's at least hip.
She's, it's more of a type of earthy type of person, I guess you could say here. But they're not moving to a commune or anything like that here. So he says that this is weird here. He says that he takes that he talks a lot about his when he's a kid, his weed was very around when he was very little, and to a point where it wasn't hidden from him or anything like that. And we'll talk about that, but it was very super casual. Like he said, he had a friend over, and the kid was just shocked of how
much weed was in the house.
How much casual weed use was going on. The mother would smoke a little weed before she headed out the door to work and shit like that. You know what I mean? So the kids were all like, wow, this is a crazy house. Yeah. Holy shit. And we've all had that friend.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it was maybe just the beginning of that era. That's when that started. That, passive parenting of just fucking, I don't know, dude, just have people over and I don't know, man. If you need to
live my life.
Look, the third grade is stressful. So if you need to skip and just do bong hits all day with your little friends, it's cool, man. Like, I think that started in the early 70s and still goes on today somehow.
There's something about when a sentence is said that's super casual with smoke coming out of the mouth that makes it so much more casual.
It's just way more casual. So, and then it's just at the end is get rid of the rest of it.
Yeah.
It makes it just like, all right. I mean,
any words said through like strained breath trying to hold the weed in.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. Like that, he really had
that guy sounds convincing.
He tried hard to get that out. Yeah. That's the thing.
He wanted those words out so much that he would let a little bit of his smoke out.
Yeah, that's the
to
thing.
Tell you those words.
But he was keeping the rest.
So they were important.
Rather than just waiting 10 seconds to exhale it and then tell what you want to say. This is, it's important.
That sentence, yeah.
Hold on.
If you just need to get a fucking couple of days, it's fine. Like that sentence makes so much more sense to me.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's better that way. So a lot of this too. There's an article here. I got a lot of really good information from. A lot of the information from this article is from Christian's book, which we'll talk about later and give him a little plug on that deal there. But a lot of this came from a really good article. It was kind of the most concise article on his whole life kind of thing that I found. Really, there was there was very specific parts of his life in certain articles, but this article covered a lot, so I got to give them credit because a lot came from this. It's from the Sports Illustrated has the SI Vault online where they have like all their old articles.
Everything.
It's fantastic, by the way. It's amazing to go back to, just like the early 80s. So I've gotten stuff from like, Eddie Johnson when we did way back then where it was articles from 1981 about Eddie Johnson doing coke, and it's really helpful as a tool for us as a research tool here. This is an article by Carl Taro Greenfeld. Yeah. And it's a really good article, like I said, from top to bottom here, that I got a bunch of this information from. They're talking about how he was always like a daredevil. Yeah. And this type of shit's just either in you or not. Like they talk about how there was a big tree when he was 6 years old at school, and he would just climb it and then go. It was a eucalyptus tree, and he'd climb it and go out on these branches that are and they're pretty. Yeah, they're not that strong.
Right, they're rubbery.
Yeah, they're rubbery, and nobody would let him could get him down. The teachers would tell him to come down. Nobody was going to chase up after him. So they were like, I don't know. It's like having a cat in a tree. Like, what do we do here? It's just up there. So the teacher would call his father on the phone and say, the branch is going to snap. Your kid's going to fall and kill himself. And the dad, obviously, as a father is, my son's in a tree with weak branches. Holy shit, I got to get there right away. He said, there's nothing to worry about. Just don't spook him. That's what it says. He said, basically, as long as you don't scare him and whatever, he'll be fine. Just let him do his thing.
Did he say it like that, or did he go, just don't spook him?
Don't spook him, bro. Listen, bro, don't spook him. So, hold on.
That's how he said it. And they were like, he meant that shit.
He's going to be okay, man. Just don't spook him. So he was not, that's what it was. He was very coordinated. He's an athletic kid. He's a kind of a shorter guy, and he's athletic, and he's, as you can tell by his skating later on, he's goddamn fearless. This was a dude that, like, when I was a kid, like, I skated in like 1990, 91, 92. Right. And we all had, like, Thrasher, because Thrasher would have Thrasher magazine's a skating magazine, and they would have full page pictures of tricks, people doing shit, and it would be like you turn a page and do a trick. So we all had like pages torn out, and you'd have like a section on your wall of pages there, and everybody had a shitload of Christian Hosoi pictures because he was just so much higher than everybody. He was like a fucking rocket. It was insane. It was amazing to watch this guy skate. He was actually absolutely incredible. No one had the explosiveness and style. Skating is a lot. Skating's like it's not like certain sports style counts, and certain sports it doesn't. Right. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. And I'm sure it's different if you watch it closely. But like golf isn't really, there's not a lot of styles in golf. I mean, I'm sure if you watch it, there is, but it's
mostly your shirt.
It's fucking subtle. Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, oh, he wears a hat that's different.
Right.
He wears funny shoes. Like, nobody does anything. John Daly is different, and everybody else is the same. You know what I'm saying? Where
there's no Happy Gilmore for real.
That's what I'm saying. Right. Yeah, basketball style counts. Absolutely. Basketball's a game where it doesn't matter what the stats sheet says. You can watch a game and like a guy just because the way the dude moves.
Right.
It's just enjoyable to watch. Right. It's a certain style.
He could be like the 11th best center, and he can be your favorite because he does certain shit.
That's what I mean. Right. It's a certain style of play. People in New York, John Starks isn't the most skilled player, but people loved him on the Knicks because he would impale himself to make one defensive stop because he was crazy. So things like that. Charles Barkley had a swagger to him that made him really enjoyable to watch and shit like that. Skating's the same way. Skating, you like people's styles. Right. You like the way they move. Are they explosive when they come up? Are they, more technical? Are they shit like that?
Some specific signature thing they do.
Or that. Yeah, that's the thing. Or even their place in the pecking order. You get like, well, I like that dude. He's an underdog. Right. It's one of those things. Like Tony Hawk was like this perfect.
Right.
Everything he did looked right.
He was Tom Brady of skating.
It's exactly what he is. Yeah. Everything looked right. It was technically perfect. Right. Everything was great. And it's hard to dislike that unless you're like, I don't know, he has no style.
Perfect shit.
Well, he didn't have any style. Right. He still doesn't have any fucking style. Sorry. He's the greatest skater ever, but he has no style.
The most milquetoast skater on earth.
He's which I mean, he's technically amazing, but I mean, it's just different. Yeah. When you watch Christian Hosoi, I'd rather watch Christian Hosoi for 5 minutes than watch however much Tony Hawk, because Christian Hosoi has just a certain swagger and style to him that makes him just different. So they all said, anyway, the father with the tree, the father was telling the teachers, look, he's always been climbing trees. He just climbs trees. That's just what he does. Yeah, rather than tell him not to climb trees and keep him out of the trees, they just,
let him do it.
Yeah, so he'd try to get other kids to go up the tree.
Oh, no.
And they, nobody would go up as high as him.
Don't get the kids that don't climb trees to climb trees.
No, it's like maybe they wanted to climb trees. Maybe you're a tree climber and you just don't know it yet.
You gotta give it a shot.
Come
on up here.
Maybe you don't know about
your shoes off. Give it a run.
Proclivity for tree climbing. So anyway, he'd be all the way up there, and maybe that sort of thing. And then they'd call his dad again. And your son's back up the tree. Yeah. And he said at one point, there's a quote that his dad said he gave later on. Quote, "Lady, look, if the kid ain't scared, he ain't in any kind of trouble.
Okay.
So leave him alone." They're like, we have like liability.
Yeah.
We can't let children.
We're responsible for your child when he's on our property. Yeah. We don't want to be sued, sir.
Your son is 30 feet in the air dangling from a narrow rubbery branch.
And as stoned as you are and how much you don't care, your wife is the opposite of you and she's going to sue us. So please get him out of the tree.
Jesus Christ. So they would absolutely insist that he would come down and get his kid out of the tree. Basically, that's how it worked here. And this is a problem. His father's too cool with him. We'll talk about cool and too cool.
I would say so.
Cool is the fact that in 1978, he's 11 years old, and his father built him a ramp in the backyard for skating. That's cool.
Fuck yeah.
Your kid's into something and you go...
And you're supporting it.
That's awesome. Yeah, they built building the ramp. That's really cool. Not cool when he's 10 years old, his father starts smoking weed with him.
Yeah,
not cool. No. See, that's the difference. There, you can be cool, and there's a line to coolness.
Yeah.
I like weed
as
and
a
all.
Parent.
Yeah, as a parent. I like weed and all. You don't smoke your kid out at 10. That's ridiculous. That's just insane. So,
what do you think is the age, James?
Not 10. Well older than that.
More than double?
More than when they own something.
Okay.
That's when. Right. That's when they own something. Yeah. That's when you can smoke weed with your kids.
But see, that's a problem too, because they could own a lot of things at 16.
No. They don't own it. You bought it for them. When they went out and purchased something that took a lot of money to buy.
When they buy something on payments.
That's it.
And they own it after
credit.
that.
Yeah. When you buy, you go out, you get a car payment. Yeah. Let's talk it up.
As soon as you finish it up.
Great. That's it. Yeah. Maybe 26 maybe. Fine. You buy a house. You know what? We're going to sit right in your living room and we'll puff on something, because at that point you're an adult and you've earned it. 10? No. 18? No. Not even close. Not even close. Ridiculous. And even then it's still shaky. Yeah. So, yes, but they do end up building a ramp though in the backyard, and so he had it was a quarter pipe, so you can go up and you can launch and you can do tricks. And it's not a launch ramp, but it's got it's got a top on, not a top, but a deck
level,
like on there
where you can step up on top.
Exactly, you can step up, you can drop in.
Right,
it's not like a launch ramp where you're just shooting off and doing tricks.
And it's a quarter pipe, so it's a ramp up, stop, and then you come back down.
And then
there's no
there's no back other side of it.
Right,
yeah, exactly.
There's no ride you can take.
Exactly here. So they obviously this was a big deal for a kid here, and then his father takes a job in 1979. This is a dream for a kid who's really into skating. His father takes a job managing a skate park.
Oh my God.
Which is like, hallelujah. Can you imagine that?
They are best friends.
That's what I mean. His dad's his dad later on when he's skating, he even mentions it, like he goes, you'll see a heavy set Hawaiian dude standing there and like in a lot of pictures of me, like off to the side where all the spectators are. He stands out. He's like, you'll see a heavy set Hawaiian dude with his own camera taking pictures at the same time.
That's his dad.
Because that's my dad. He was always there. He goes, most of the parents didn't watch their kids skate. Most of the time the kids were skating because home life sucked and they were tearaways.
They were getting away from that.
They were just, that's what it was. And whereas him, his dad was encouraging his skating because he was always so good at it here. And this was, his dad basically took the job because his son was so good at skating. He's like, well, I need a job anyway. Yeah. And this will be great for him. So he talks about that he's always, at this point in time, like middle school, junior high, he's always got weed on him. And he gets busted a couple times for weed. This is when he starts getting arrested as a child here. He said he only got busted as a minor only twice for possession, which isn't bad.
That's too many still.
Yeah, as well. He's going, it's not too bad, actually. He said in 8th grade, so he said him and his friends are, skipping classes and smoking a joint in the alley behind the school. Which is, that's a tough.
In the 70s, though.
In the 70s.
That's everybody.
I did that in the 90s.
Yeah,
but I mean, in school.
In the 70s, he's like muscling people out of the way to get his room to smoke.
That's everybody's back there going, hey, that's a good point. Yeah, in the 70s in LA, it was not.
If you get caught smoking weed in an alley, it's because you were the slowest to run, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's hard to get caught when everybody's there.
You might have a really good point here because this seems like this was probably the smoking spot because he says basically they're smoking a joint and he says suddenly a pair of undercover cops spring out of the bushes and order them to raise their hands, and he said that he puts his hands up but he keeps the joint in his hand because it was really good weed and he didn't want to throw it out, which I think is an amazing fantasy thought of don't shoot me, but maybe I'll finish this joint.
Can I hit it 2 more times?
Yeah, maybe you're after someone else and I can finish this, but that's really wishful thinking. Like, it's got really good weed in it. I'm going to keep it. Yeah. So
you just said put my hands up, not drop it.
Yeah. Well, he said he just like cupped his hand around it like
Smart.
you do with like one of those, and he said, maybe they'll just go, oh, never mind. You guys are cool. I don't know what that smell is. It's fine. And they instead said, what's that in your hand? Open it. And he opened it, and they took the joint, and that was that. So he says they handcuffed him and his friends, and they drive us out in front of the school. And he said everybody looks and stares at him and all that sort of shit, and they're handcuffed. This is silly. He said the cops uncuffed the others and let them go, his friends. And he says since he was the one with the joint, the cop brings him back in the car and takes him to the police station and calls his father. Yeah. And he says his father shows up and he plays it very fatherly. Yeah. I'm sorry, officer. I can assure you nothing like this will ever happen again. Signs him out. And
I don't know where he got it.
I know this is ridiculous. Yeah. And these damn kids these days. Yeah. And you know what I mean? This culture, I swear I'm going to put him in military school. He's going through the whole thing. I'm going to put him direct. He's going to shave his head. We're going to get him a flat top, change this kid's whole attitude. Instead, they get in the car and his dad says, quote, dude, why are you getting busted?
You dummy.
Yeah, that's what he said. And then he says about the undercover cops, and he says, quote, yeah, just don't get caught, stupid. That's what he tells his kids. So that's it. And he said they got back home and smoked a fat joint. And that was that. So a weed bust, not a big deal in the Hosoi household.
Arrest number 1 under his belt, though.
Under his belt, yeah. Arrest number 1, not a real consequence
Barely
for it.
an arrest.
It's one of those things. He said about a year later, they're in Westwood, and they're walking around smoking a chunk of hash in a ceramic pipe.
Okay.
Which is, maybe don't smoke hash out of a pipe out in public. Because you can make a joint look like a cigarette, as you've seen me many times do around venues and stuff.
Yeah.
You can really play it off just fine, especially if you're super casual about it.
Cops in Detroit drove right on by.
Oh, yeah, I'm super casual about it. No one cares. But a chunk of hash out of a pipe's a little
Hard
bit
to hide
different.
that.
It looks like that guy's smoking something out of a pipe.
Right.
And it's not, it's not a Sherlock Holmes pipe.
Sure doesn't look corn cob from here.
I'm pretty positive a Sherlock Holmes pipe, you could smoke crack out of those in public and nobody would even look twice at you. They'd just think, oh, yeah, it's nice old, isn't that charming?
Like the big, like a bugle, like a big horn looking one.
One of those. Like, and you puffed on it.
You got to hold it with the palm of your hand because it's so fucking big.
And look concerned about it. So look like you're pondering. Just be like, oh no, that man's he's important and he's in deep thought and his pipe's helping him with that. So leave him alone. Meanwhile, chunk of hash.
Yeah.
That's how you fucking do it. So they're walking around and he said, his friend says, dude, what are those people in the bushes, doing in the bushes over there? And they walk away and, they end up, they keep the hash pipe there. And, then they hear, police, hold it right there. So what was it in the 70s? Just cops are always in bushes waiting for people to smoke weed. Seems like a waste of manpower and a reason why all these serial killers were getting away with everything in the fucking set. This is the same time there's people, the Hillside Strangler, all these people
all
are
over LA.
All Night Stalker. Everybody's free, killing people left and right.
We got detectives in bushes busting a soy.
Multiple cops, not even one guy.
Right.
They're spending manpower, hide in bushes, wait for teenagers to walk by smoking weed, jump out at them and take the weed, and then
follow your nose.
What? Jesus Christ, man! No wonder we fucking couldn't solve anything. Good Lord, Zodiac be in custody today. If weed was legal.
Keep your nuzzler out and go get that weed.
Go on, get out there.
We got girls on the sides of freeways all over this town, but go get those teenagers.
You can't do anything about that, see? Sick people are going to do sick things, but these goddamn punks with their weed, that we can stop.
We can stop those punks with their weed from becoming these guys
that's
to
what
do
happens,
this shit.
because that's what happens. One minute you're smoking hash in the park, next minute, obviously, you got a woman's entrails all over you as you're dumping her on the side of a hill. This is what happens.
Carving a smile on a girl's face and sectioning her in two. That's how it happens.
In the houses, you're hiding, you're waiting for them, and then you're raping them to death while they sleep. You know how it goes. That's what happens. One day it's hash in the park, next minute it's that. We got to stop it right now. The horses already left the barn. Once they're murdering, we can't stop that.
You gonna slam doors now?
That's the thing. We got to get them early and forget that shit. Women beware. Okay, see, we've done our part. Hide in the bushes, everybody. So, I
wonder if any cops ever lost a finger when a fucking landscape crew came through.
Yeah. Oh shit! Gee, hi, wait,
wait!
We're back here. We're back here spraying for bugs. Hold on.
That would be amazing. That's
poison back there. Well, this sounds like...
How'd you lose your finger? Surveillance, 1972. Really? Real big case? Yeah. 17-year-old smoking weed.
Got two 14-year-olds in a hash pipe. It was rough. I mean, I think it saved many women from being butchered and left in the hillsides.
Sometimes you
in
got
the
to
future.
sacrifice.
But, you know.
Yeah, sacrifice a finger.
That's what happens, man.
Luckily, it wasn't a thumb.
This sounds like Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke.
It does.
Like, this sounds like the cops following him around and the Stacy Keach getting mad at him and making them all sit in the back seat one by one and shit. Like, this is what this sounds like. Go hide in the bushes. And he makes, okay, chief, and he goes and hides in the bushes.
Well, he turns into an iguana.
Yeah, well, he turns into, that was Nice Dreams.
It was.
I think, yeah. Nice Dreams was the iguana one.
Was it?
Yeah.
May have been.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
Oh, shit, was it
Don't
not?
look at me.
Oh, no, now I'm mixing the movies. It's really just Cheech and Chong.
It doesn't matter.
Acquiring and smoking weed.
Right,
so
they're all the same.
They're all the same.
They're all just better and better.
Yeah, I just love
Actually, are they? I don't know.
I love the what's his name? Freddie, the black dude who's trying to sell him diamonds and shit all the time.
I don't remember.
And new clothes and shit.
That I remember.
The uniform.
Yeah.
This is a new cut. Shall be bad. Love that fucking guy. That's
I
good
just love
shit.
Pee Wee Herman in it.
That's Nice nice dreams for sure.
That one's
That's
so
definitely
good.
nice
It's
dreams.
so good.
Pee Wee goes under the table, comes
Right.
up with Coke all over his face, just all like whacked out.
That guy was a kids' TV star.
A little later on. Yeah.
Like 3 years later.
Like 3 years later. Yeah, Nice Dreams was probably 81, I think.
Probably.
Maybe 82, because 77 was Up in Smoke.
Oh, was it? Was it
Yeah,
that early?
It was that early.
Jesus.
77. Dude, Up in Smoke, I love, like, I've heard a lot of interviews about it and shit, and, like, they didn't know what they were doing making that movie. That's why it's good.
Were they so high that they didn't think it would?
No. They weren't even high. They were just, they just didn't know how to make a movie.
Yeah.
So, like, it's really, there's happy accidents. Like, they talk about, I was watching it with the commentary one time, and they're like, see how this master shot's really funny? They're like, if we knew what we were doing, we'd have all sorts all sorts of close-ups. We'd be punching, and it wouldn't be funny anymore. He goes, but we just were like, hey, let it play. It's comedy. And that's why it's fucking funny. Like, it's just interesting. A bunch of different things. And Cheech still has those license plates.
No kidding.
He still has a car with the Muff Diver California license plate.
That's amazing.
He's had them since then.
That's
since
brilliant because they would never let you do it today.
No
way.
Fuck no.
No.
MUFDVR. Not happening today. But if you've had it since 1976, I guess your grandfather didn't. So there you go. Muff Diver, enjoy. She's hitchhiking.
Were they so stoned eventually that they like woke up one day and they're like, oh my God, we're successful. We should make another movie. It's been 5 years.
They had a real successful comedy act. That's why they made the movie, because they had their comedy act was huge.
Yeah,
they went around crushing shit.
Yeah,
they were killing it, man.
It's unbelievable. They're so lucky.
That's
so lucky.
Yeah, it happened for them.
Because that shit could not happen today.
No,
not
the
like
70s was the perfect time.
Yeah.
Perfect time, perfect place.
Right.
Just everything crossed perfectly for them.
And even if they had, if there was somebody that didn't have a lot of money that was doing great but wasn't like super loaded to make their own movie, a movie production studio would fucking ruin that. They'd put their own brand on it and just ruin everything.
No, you're right.
You have the all the rights and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
If you sign a contract with all the creativity in it, but it's all garbage.
Yeah, I'm happy. There's no the modern Cheech and Chong.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, it's. Man,
it was so good.
It was for the time. It was great. And as a teenager, like in the 90s, it was cool too. Cause it was like, oh wow, this is the 70s. It's all weird. And different.
Picture a van with all the carpet on the wall. And it just smells like sex in there all the time. It smells like
sex.
That's the 70s.
Sex and weed and incense for some reason. So these two are getting accosted by undercover officers in the bushes, which is amazing. And cops pop out, say, hold it right there. You doing drugs? That's what the guy asked. It's like, that's very 70s. Yeesh. And he said, no, Christian said, because they hadn't smoked it yet. They had just like put it in they were just about to smoke it, and he tells us to raise their hands, and his friend before they raise their hand, his friend throws the hash like on the ground, and it kind of just goes like toward the cops, and so the cop goes over and picks it up and says, okay, hands on your head now. I have your hash here. And he says that Christian says he tosses the pipe into bushes while they're searching his friend. The pipe hits another cop in the head who is hiding. No, it doesn't. Every bush has a cop in it. Jesus, you too? Come on, Frank, we're working this part. For Christ's sake.
This is our beat.
How many cops are assigned to these bushes? So one of the cops saw him do it and then goes and gets it, as that always happens, and says, is this yours? And he says no, and then he says that the cop hit him on top of the head with the pipe.
Really?
For lying, yeah, because he watched him throw it, he picked it up and says, is this yours? And he went, no. So he went, dipshit.
You dummy.
Which is, you know what, kind of warranted at that point. I'm not for any kind of police brutality, but that's one of those where if there was no major injury, you deserve to fucking bonk on the head. Shut up,
Your
stupid.
dad would have done this anyway.
Don't say anything. Go, I'm not going to answer. Don't look at another grown person in the face and say, no, it's not mine. Just go, I don't know, or I'm not going to answer it. If you don't want to incriminate yourself, fine. That's smart.
Or just stare him right in the face.
Yeah, don't say a word. Look at me and say no after I just watched you fucking do that shit. Are you kidding me? No, that's what toddlers do. They eat a cookie right in front of you and go, did you eat that cookie? No. No, still chocolate chips are falling out of your mouth, you little son of a bitch. No. So he says then he hits him in the ribs with the pipe too, and just getting abusive now.
Is he waiting for him to say yes?
Well, then the cop says, is this your pipe? And he says no again, so he hits him in the ribs again, and he asks if it's his pipe, and then he says, well, yeah, I guess so. So I'm tired of being hit with it.
If I say no, is it going to hurt again?
You know how that goes. This is going to be very painful here. So, he is the, in 1980, he places in the top 5 in the 11 to 13-year-old division of the Vans Amateur Skate Finals in California.
11 of 13.
11 to 13-year-old division. He's in the top 5 there.
Wow.
Now, basically, his dad would let him skate as long as the park was open and as long as he could skate in the park. He was always there. And he was just a monster. From this he was a tiny kid too. Like
as an adult, he wasn't big.
He wasn't big, but at this point, there's a picture of him from 1980. It shows him getting out of a pool, shooting up with his board out of a pool, and he looks like a tiny Asian woman, a tiny Asian girl, like a 12-year-old Asian girl.
For those of you that are young and don't know what that means, the pool was drained.
The pool was drained. They skateboard in a drained pool.
It was not so amazing that he could skateboard into a water.
Well, that would be very Christian
I would watch
of him.
That.
That'd be very Christian of him.
The most
He
Christian.
skates on water. You'd have all definitely heard about him by now, probably, if he skated on water, because you'd have a little skateboard around your neck, a little gold skateboard you'd be wearing, I'm sure, because that'd be fucking amazing. Anybody actually walks on water, I'm buying whatever the hell they got to say. Put it that way. If I see it's not a trick, I go there, I try it, I fall in.
Right. I get all wet, then that guy's amazing.
You're pretty amazing. You're standing next to me on the water, I'm in the water. I'm going to listen to what you have to say. You're dry.
My phone's ruined and you're doing great.
Driest guy wins here. Tell me what happened. Tell me what to do with myself. Oh, Lord. So, he looked like this. He had long hair, long black hair, looked like a little Asian child. And he was smaller than average and that sort of thing here. Stacy Peralta, who's one of the founders of Powell Peralta, and you might know him. He made the Dogtown and Z-Boys documentary is part of him, and he's out there. He's been out there a lot.
One of the first
20 years. He's the guy that saw that. Hey, we should make boards and like try to make this a business.
Make money on this.
We should make money on this because otherwise we're just skating around.
Right.
He said
we all like weed. We should be able to buy it.
Let's buy some.
Yeah.
So he said about Hosoi, quote, Christian was this teeny little kid who just had it. He had impeccable form even when he was 10 years old. Just beautiful to watch. It's weird to see a kid at that age with the understanding of how to move his body through space. And that's exactly what it was. He was just he was a freak, man. It was like, it was insane to watch a little kid like this just destroy it. They said his first photo here, they talk about the one I told you where he's getting air out of a pool. He Tony Hawk said the first quote, the first time I ever heard of Christian Hosoi was that photo. And he was an amateur skateboarder, Tony Hawk. He wasn't in magazines or anything at the time. He said, my friends and I thought he was a girl, but we were like, who is this girl? She rips. So I thought that was fucking hilarious. They were like, this chick's awesome. And not a chick. He said Christian was so fluid. Everything he did it with his own signature. That's what I mean about him. You could watch him and who it was. Right. If he was a silhouette and you knew skating, you could watch him for 2 minutes, 10 seconds and go, that's Christian Hosoi. Right. Just in the way he did his moves. So not a lot of guys are like that, where you could just tell who they are by the way they move. So it's one of those deals here. It's kind of like why they don't, the silhouettes of like sports, like, they get someone unique. Jerry West had a certain way of movement. That's why he's the NBA. Right. Yeah. It's recognizable here. He was so goddamn good though, that everybody was kind of blown away by him. A skater at the time, another skater said he made skateboarding an art. Everybody said he was like beautiful to watch because he was like, he had when he'd go up in the air, and I remember this, he'd go up in the air, it seemed like he's up there forever. He had like this hang time that was just different than everybody else's. And it seemed like then he would explode down. It was this really weird, thing. I don't know how it worked here. But he's very, very strong, like legs and shit like that. And, good balance, that sort of thing here. Stacy Peralta said, quote, we invented going out of the pool and doing aerials, but for guys like Christian and Tony, the swimming pool walls were no longer for riding, they were for launching. This was the first these were the first guys getting these huge air out of pools and off of ramps. Before that, it wasn't about that. Guys would come up a little drop out of the pool, but it was mainly to go up and grind on and do tricks on and come back down, and it was a different thing.
These guys are up in the air doing spins and doing weird shit with this board. You didn't do that.
You're flipping around where you're like, how the shit do you do that?
Holding the front of the board and being pushed against the board somehow still. How the fuck do you do that?
Or the weirdest is like the first time, I don't know if you know what this is, but first time anybody saw a McTwist, it must have been like, holy shit. Have you ever seen a McTwist?
Is that where you grab both hands and spin?
No, you go up and it's a certain amount of turns, but there's a flop in it too. It's hard to explain. There's a flop involved in it where it looks like the person's out of control and like inside of a dryer.
Then you gotta like flip the board around your body?
No. It's the way you turn yourself.
I see what you mean.
So it looks like the person has been dropped from a plane and it's going badly, and yet then they land it, and you're just like, wow, how do you make your body do that? It's amazing. It was amazing. Like when I skated, it was all street shit. We never had ramps, and so you'd see guys do that, and you're just like, that's incredible. So incredible. So Christian started just owning all the amateur shit when he was, 12, 13. He was just dominating. He was just better than everybody else, especially his age. No one his age can touch him, ever. Another skater here said, quote, Christian was the best pool skater I've ever seen. He could make any trick look really easy or really critical. So they, basically in the late 70s, early 80s here, all like the Dogtown guys, like Tony Alva and all those guys, they would get pools. And, they would find a pool to skate, and they would keep all the other skaters out of this pool because there's a ton of kids that would want to, shitty teenage kids who wanted to come skate too, and they'd fuck up the pool and make the whole thing not worth it. They weren't serious, so they basically have somebody stand guard and keep all the kids out, keep all the shitheads out, all the open micers out of the pool. That's what it was. It's like, keep the open micers out of here.
There was no Mitzi Shore to tell everybody they aren't good enough.
No, there was. The open micers can't have access to the waters in the fridge because there'll be none left. There's too many of them, and they don't deserve
them out
water.
Of the sugar-free Red Bulls.
That's what it was. Yeah, that's exactly like any comedy club there. So these guys, the only kid they would let in was Christian Hosoi. He was the only one allowed with those guys because they were just amazed by him. They were like, this kid, holy shit, let's watch him.
How great must it have felt to be him?
Oh, that's what I mean. He's amazing at the thing he really enjoys, and all of his idols, all the people around him, and he's in the one place in the world where he could do this thing, and all these guys around him are all, encouraging him, and it must have been a great life. He goes home and smokes weed with his dad.
It must be cool, too, to live in that moment and being like, somebody should write a movie about this shit. And they're about to, kid.
Yeah, that's what... Oh, shit.
They're about to, and it's going to be amazing. Yeah.
Several
But, it's going to feel great for you to have your story on the fucking big screen.
Oh, yeah,
people buying tickets for it.
Absolutely. Another skater here said he was, quote, he was so beautiful to watch. There'll never be another skater like him. He had it all, the best moves and the most incredible lifestyle. He just, everybody was kind of like jealous of him because it seemed effortless too, was the other thing. Like, he didn't seem like he was even trying. He was real laid back. He'd kick it at the beach, smoke some weed, and act like he wasn't going to do anything, and he'd be like, I'll go hit that ramp quick and just blow everybody away, and then head back to the beach, smoke a little weed. So it wasn't like, oh, well, he's the first guy at the ramp in the morning and the last guy to leave. He's, not like a Tom Brady or Peyton Manning where it's like, oh, yeah, he's at the facility at 4 a.m. Of course he's good. It's not like that.
It's pretty awesome that he picked it, or he was given the talent somehow to be able to do something amazing in the two, most amazing places to do it.
That's the thing. It was a perfect form of he's not the Peyton Manning. He's more like Brett Favre when he came in there and he's like, I don't know the plays or nothing, but I'll sling that shit down the field and we're gonna win this game. We're gonna win this puppy.
Sling that shit down the field.
We're gonna win this puppy. I feel like that's what he would do.
I'll bet Brett Favre has said those words before.
I'll just zing this bitch down the field and we'll just go home and win. And they were like, I guess.
You guys say we just win today. What do you say?
Sure, why not?
Zing this shit down the field. We'll fuck the cheerleaders and we'll have a great night.
And we'll go home. Yeah, right in the face.
Good, boys.
Anybody? Wherever you want, but start in the face. Let's be gentlemen, guys. Gentlemen, let's be fucking gentlemen. Jesus Christ. I get you want to start that, but you start at work your way down. That's what I'm saying here. Jesus Christ, have some respect for these ladies. So, This is the time too. He couldn't have timed it any better. As far as this is when skateboarding becomes a thing,
right?
Like we said, 70s, early 70s, 60s. It was outside thing, metal wheels, and the good equipment started coming in, started to become a little more popular. Skate parks started opening in California. This is when people realized, oh, this could be a business.
This could be lucrative as fuck.
You could make skateboards and wheels and trucks and skater apparel, shoes.
Yeah.
This is when people started saying, oh, shit, this is magazines. This is Thrasher came out in 81.
Yeah.
Thrasher magazine, which is the, standard skate magazine.
What a brilliant fucking business model, too, because there is not a single part on any of this, not a single piece of equipment that doesn't wear out. It's
absolutely.
All replaceable.
Oh, all you have to, and
right now.
The harder and more you skate, the more you have to replace everything. Skating destroys everything. Skating destroyed all my shoes, the boards, the wheels, everything. I had to have hip surgery because I fell off I shot up on a launch ramp and fell and cracked my hip on a goddamn sidewalk.
Jesus Christ.
Skating will take everything. Yeah. It's really...
Skating is the most expensive sport. Not only does it fuck up the equipment that you use, it fucks up the arena that you do it in.
Oh, absolutely. And it's the only sport where, injuries you're showing off most people. You're like, you want to say like, oh, look at how uninjured I got through this whole thing. Skating, it's like, oh, I felt bad. Look at, you would wear like, oh, even if it's cold out, I fucked my knee up, I have a huge scab, I gotta wear shorts to show everybody what a lunatic I am. It was like this thing of like, I can hurt myself more and be fine. They're like wrestlers. It's exactly what they're like.
What it is.
Like, hit me with the chair harder because I can fucking take it. Isn't that cool? And they limp home and and do a bunch of pills and shit, and that's what happens.
I'll stand on the other leg on the board. I'll kick with the bad one.
That's what it is.
It's ridiculous.
It's really interesting here. But at this point here, this is when they talk about how this is when it goes from being just like a, hey, a skateboard, you get your kid and they go down the sidewalk and they throw it in the garage, to a specialty thing that people were into, and they had their own shops and all that sort of shit here. And they said the skate parks started to shut down. They talk about in this article because of the insurance premiums were insane.
I can't even imagine.
Back then. Yeah, they didn't know how to manage that quite yet here. So there was Powell and Peralta at this point. And like I said, that they started up and they were, the whole thing was trying to be marketed as counterculture too. This wasn't for this wasn't for like your clean cut kid. This was like, oh, punk music and skating, and it had its own
society. Fuck the status quo. We're going to change it.
Yeah. I'm not crazy. You're the one who's crazy.
Right. That's
You're driving me crazy.
Yeah. You're crazy driving a car, you fucking pussy.
All I wanted was a Pepsi, and you wouldn't fucking give it to me. That's what it was, though. And his brother owned a skate shop. Mike Muir, the Suicidal Tendencies singer, his brother owned one of these skate shops around there.
That makes sense.
So, I mean, that was the culture. That was the whole deal here. So, they would basically have all of these companies, they started to hold contests. These ramp contests because people wanted to see it. It was like an interesting thing. They were all over. And Stacy Peralta said, quote, "It was just a bunch of kids rolling up in a van and ripping some ramp in the middle of nowhere. We knew skating had become more underground activity. So to survive, that mystique was good for the sport." So yeah, they just pop up, and it was a very kind of underground activity, except that they like 1982, things like that, or 83, it started to become a lot more mainstream as far as everyone started to know of it. And it was definitely underground, but it was different. They were starting to kind of promote it more and make it more of a business here. So his career, though, starts out very early. His first sponsorship deal to get boards and shit was with Powell and Peralta in 1979 when he was 12.
Unbelievable.
12!
Unbelievable.
12.
Sponsored. Wow.
And we always talk about these sports. We talked about Capriati.
Yeah.
Not when she was 12.
No.
Todd Marinovich, not when he was 12.
No.
Like this is as early as it comes because there's no like league. There's no governing body. No. It's just, we'll give you free skateboards.
Wild West.
You'll give this kid free skateboards and then he'll jump around and he's riding our skateboard.
And he'll sell our board.
And that's it. That's how it works here. So, but what he does is he says that they didn't want him to turn pro. They wanted him to stay amateur. Stacy Peralta told him to stay amateur for a couple more years, and he's like, what does that mean?
Why would I do that?
He's like, why a couple more years? He goes, I don't get it. I'm better than them. Why should I stay amateur?
I'm 12.
Yeah.
And I'm better than you.
And I want to make money. Yeah, it's I'm way better than you ever were, and I want to make money.
Yeah.
And he was like, just give it a couple more years. And I don't know if he was trying to keep him in a holding pattern. So I don't know what because he was good enough to be a pro. So I don't know what the motivation was for Stacy Peralta. I'm not going to say it was anything dark or anything like that. He might have just thought it'd be better for him as a person to not make it not make it like that so soon, which is honestly fine advice. I mean, if you say,
it's also advice of like, what if at 14 he wants pussy instead of this? You know what I mean? Like, what if he starts chasing girls?
Let it go like that. Yeah, and that's what I mean. I don't know. This could be for his own good. Literally looking at him like, hey, you're too young for this right now. You know, whatever. But instead, Christian says that he wants to be pro right now, so he agrees to ride for Dogtown, which is another board. He said he had his graphics made up for his new model of the board and everything, and board is just about to be released, and Dogtown goes out of business.
Oh no!
So he's like, "Fuck!" Yeah. He was all excited, and Stacy Peralta said this about about Christian Hosoi leaving Powell and Peralta. Quote: "It wasn't because he was too young. I wanted all my skaters to become the best they could as amateurs, so when they turned pro, they would immediately make a splash. But it worked out when Dogtown went under. I hired Tony Hawk, so I lost one great skater and replaced him with another great skater. So yeah, no big loss if you got Tony Hawk to replace him.
Wow.
So not too shabby.
Yeah.
It was another kid at that point. So he also says, quote, this is Stacy Peralta again, when Christian was really young, around 10 or 11, I don't recall ever hearing him speak. I think at one point I actually wondered if he was mute. It wasn't until after he turned pro that he really started to project, not just in his skating, but with his personality. I never understood how a kid so quiet could develop into this rock star personality. Yeah. So he comes out of his shell when he turns pro. It's just I think when he makes your own. If you're 14 and people are handing you checks,
you got to talk.
Holy shit! Yeah. The confidence that would give you would be enormous, because that's not only is it your circle now, that's money. That means that you're good in any circle. You can take that money anywhere and fit in.
Impressive anywhere.
That's what I mean. Anywhere you want. So Christian says, quote, I was a professional skater by the time I was 14. I was already on the covers of mags and stuff, on magazine covers as a teenager. Jesus. When I went to school, everyone knew who I was. I already had a couple $1,000s a month coming in. I could do anything I wanted.
Incredible.
So he's like 14. He's making $2-3 grand a month. He lives at home. He's got no bills.
He's killing it.
He's doing what he would do anyway.
Right.
But, what I was doing for free when I was his age, but he's doing it and making a little money, and he's like a celebrity at school.
He's 14 making 40 grand a year.
This is a great life, man. This is great. This is fucking fantastic.
So good.
Yeah. One of his friends says he remembers, and he didn't take school seriously. Obviously.
Why the fuck would you?
How could you?
No reason.
You're looking at your teachers going, I make more money than you, and I'm not even trying. I don't have to get up in the morning and do a whole thing.
I make more money than you, and I'm not even allowed.
I'm just
legally, I'm not even allowed. They're just giving me this shit.
I'm just winning prize money. I'm literally just skating around.
I'm not even working. And to be honest with you, it's not even work.
Basically, this is my version of Legos. That I'm making more money than you for your chosen career that you're probably still paying student loans on.
Yeah. Say that shit about American history again.
Exactly.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, no, tell me how important this is for me to know. So, a friend of his here says that he remembers Christian one time standing outside the classroom, outside the window, holding up 2 skateboards and a bag of weed. And like trying to get his attention. And he said, quote, he was jumping up and down showing me the baggie. He'd be like, let's go to the beach. And I'd be like, don't you have school? And he said, I'm all finished with school. Like I left.
Oh, I'm all done with that.
I'm done. Yeah. I was smoking weed in the alley. I checked the bushes first. Don't worry. Always check the bushes. It's the lesson here. So
I've just been out here looking in shrubs all day.
Yeah, that's it. They said his typical day was he'd go to the Venice Boardwalk, hang out on the beach, smoke some weed, hang out with some girls. If he felt like it, he'd go to the half pipe and start fucking around, drawing a huge crowd and everybody oohing and eyeing. And then he'd go back and hang out on the beach, smoke weed, just living the life.
What a day.
What a day. I've never had a day that
good.
Ever. This guy did it constantly like a fucking dick.
This is Monday through Friday for him. Saturday and Sunday are out of control.
Oh, God.
This is when all his friends are busy with school.
Yeah, this is Wednesday math class time. He's just kicking it on the beach, stoned.
Yeah, and a blowy up on top of the half pipe.
Maybe he'll skate.
I don't know.
So he says that, boards are starting to sell really well. His boards are selling really well. He says he's having them manufactured at one point here by a company called Skull Skates, this is so weird, owned by, the comedian Rick Duckerman?
No.
Tom Hanks' friend in The Burbs.
What?
The blonde guy, Rick Duckerman, the 80s comedian.
Yeah.
His brother owns the skate company. How weird is that?
Rick doesn't look like he's ever skated. Does his brother look like him?
Rick's a bowling ball.
Yeah.
He's a fat fuck. No, I don't know what his brother looks like, but his brother owns a goddamn Skull Skates.
Wow.
He said that this was an old school brand he'd saw in magazines since he was a kid.
Yeah.
And so he said, fuck it, why not? He'll do it up. So he had it there. And then he had a deal with Santa Cruz, which is, I remember the Santa Cruz boards that he had there for wheels, not for boards. And he said he was a 17-year-old kid, and he said he was proposing a business deal here. And basically he picked a new way of approaching this in terms of royalties. He said that he told them he'd ride exclusively these specific Santa Cruz wheels, and all they'd have to pay him is $1,000 a month to ride these wheels, and a small percentage of each wheel.
How much
sold.
is that percentage?
See, that's the thing here. I don't know what it was here. And they were like, what the fuck? They didn't realize... No, nobody had ever asked for a royalty before like that. And he says, what do you think here? And they ended up saying, I guess so. All right. Yeah, we agree to that. They didn't know.
How much money did he make?
So he made money. He said he was doing great. He said on the covers, on all these magazines and shit, you could see his wheels and he would always do them. He said the production skyrocketed of these wheels from 12,000 wheels a month to 65,000 wheels a month.
Oh, Jesus.
Because he made them very popular, and he ended up switching his board production from Skull Skates to Santa Cruz, and that's what I remember from the old school pictures was his board, that Hammerhead made Santa Cruz board. Hammerhead is a board that he makes around this time. It's got a really unique shape. All the boards kind of had the same shape. His it would look normal, and then it got to the top, and it really cut in hard, and then it had like a smaller nose off of it, and they called it the Hammerhead. It was very interesting. It almost had like two noses.
See it now.
Like this and then like that. It would like come and then it was it's hard to explain, but if you look it up,
it looked like two dickheads stacked on each other.
Kind of. And it was not really. I'm
just trying to give.
It's kind of like a dick, sort of. I guess we can let's compare it to a dick always. I think that's the easiest thing to do here. So, but this was a very popular board, and it was very identifiable. It was very different. You knew that board, and he kept that board shape forever too.
Really?
Oh yeah, I remember when I was a kid, that board was still going on.
Okay.
So he had all sorts of sponsors. He had Jimmie's Jimmy Z. That shit. He had that. There was a sponsor for clothes. Yeah. He had Converse shoes, independent trucks, Swatch. This is the most 80s shit ever. Jimmy Z and Swatch.
I rock Jimmy Z all the time just because it had my name spelled wrong. I loved it though. It was the most comfortable shit because it was all big.
It was
so good.
It was like surf skate wear. That's what it was.
So
it was
big
like beach
and comfortable.
Shit. And Swatches. Yeah. Hosoi in the 80s used to wear like 8 Swatches.
Really?
He was one of those people who had he's sponsored by him. So he'd have like 8 all different color crazy Swatches on his arm. That's the other thing too. Like when he'd go out at night, like a little later on, he didn't go in like his normal. He didn't go in like sneakers and his gear. He dressed like he'd wear like leather pants and shit. He'd dress like a rock star. Yeah. Like that's how his persona was. Okay. He'd go out and it was weird. So he said that he was doing so well at this point. He's making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So he's doing fantastic. And on ramps, he's kind of unmatched, really, as far as this. Everyone just assumes he's the best guy. Yeah. And they were trying to They're trying to get like a rival for him this whole time.
Okay.
They need a rivalry.
That's smart.
That's how it works. There's always a rivalry, and it's the only way you can make shit work like this. Otherwise, it's just let's all watch these really good guys skate.
Right. You need people to root against you as many as you need them to root for you.
So they pick kind of Tony Hawk as the rival to him just because he's the opposite of him.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk is really, he's tall and lanky, and he's a short, stocky guy. Not stocky, but stockier than Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk's real technical and everything. Hosoi's all style. It's a very much they're just very different, and it's a very much an Ali Frazier situation here where you can't like both of them really. No. It's hard to like both of them, even though as kids we all like both of them.
Of course,
I wasn't a big Tony Hawk fan.
I liked everybody. I really liked watching black guys with dreads. Those were my favorite
those were
to watch.
Great. Yeah, street skaters too, street guys. But I always liked Mike McGill way better than Tony Hawk. I had the Mike McGill board, and McGill was like. He was like the Michael Keaton to Tom Hanks. You know what I mean? The poor man's Tony Hawk. He invented the McTwist. Okay. Was Mike McGill. It was great.
Hence the Mick part.
The Mick part. Yeah. He's amazing, but he just didn't. Tony Hawk got more pub. I don't know what it was about it, but I was always more of a McGill guy. I was like the kind of the underdog-ier one.
Much more fun to watch.
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
When the winner wins, that's no fun.
That's the thing.
Fucking sucks.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
I hate that.
And Tony Hawk was kind of everybody. I remember as a kid. I don't know how true it was, but everyone always said he was a rich kid.
That's
his
what makes
fucking
sense
daddy
of.
built him ramps and shit like that. So as kids. We were all poor street skating kids. We're like, fuck that guy and his fucking ramp.
I want some vitriol for the underdog, for the guy that doesn't fucking. Is that the word I'm looking for?
We have to go wax up a curb to do shit on it. This asshole's got fucking half pipes in his yard. Screw this guy. I found a bench that we can use.
His dad took a carpentry class to build that for him.
Yeah, that's
like my dad just fucking builds this stuff.
Probably.
This is his day job.
Yeah.
And then he bitches at me while he bleeds making this shit.
Goddamn son of a bitch.
Fucking
sunburn.
Kid. He's gonna hate this shit in 2 weeks anyway. Why the fuck am I building this?
He's gonna break his goddamn neck is what's gonna happen. Then that'll cost me money too. It's all gonna cost me.
You know the fucking hospital costs? You got me out here hammering this shit in.
That's every father's talent is figuring out how anything in the world will cost him money.
Right.
That's literally my father when I was a kid could find any way that it would cost him money somehow. That's going to cost me money. How?
Yeah.
How's that? How is Princess Diana being killed going to cost you money? I don't understand that. But he could figure out a way.
Fucking economy's going to go to shit.
This would happen. That's going to cost me money somehow. It's going to cost him money.
Meanwhile, Tony Hawk's dad's coming home from his class going, son, I can't wait to show you about the dovetail. Have you ever heard of bullnose?
Jesus.
You ever heard of tongue and groove? Fuck you, Mr. Hawk.
Yeah. And my dad was normal.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't know. It's going to cost me money. He just didn't want to have to have shit. No, it's not normal to go build your kid's shit in the yard. That's weird. It's great and all, but it's strange. You know, that guy doesn't have kids. He's a child molester. That's the difference. He's their guy there 20 minutes early with orange slices.
Right.
So 1986, he appears in a feature film called Thrashin'. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a few years there where they made some bad. Remember Gleaming the Cube with Christian Slater?
Of course we did.
That was another one that had all the real whenever they'd show all the guys skating together, it was all real skaters. It was all fucking Tony Hawk. It was Tony Hawk, Mike McGill, Caballero. It was all those guys.
Because that's not just something you can pay a stuntman
to look good. Right. Yeah, you can't
pay him to fall off a building and look good.
Well, you can have one of those shots where the guy skates by for 2 seconds in front of the camera and they can look fine standing there. But when they're actually skating like fast through a thing, like there's a style to that where you can't learn that. No. You can't I'm an actor, so I took some lessons. No, that's not going to work.
Tony Hawk's dad can't just go do this.
No. That skateboard is looks like it's attached to your body if you know what you're doing correctly. And it takes a lot. It's like somebody saying, I'm just going to learn how to swing a baseball bat right. It's like, well, you're going to look like an idiot, probably. Because that takes a lot of practice.
Better hope they can CGI the ball in and off that bat.
Yeah, or like a guy dribbling a basketball well.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You have to know how to do that or else you can't do that. You can't just learn how to do that in 2 weeks. You're going to look really dumb trying. So Thrashin' stars Josh Brolin.
Oh.
Actually.
Really?
Yes, as a skateboarder.
Oh.
Yeah, coming off.
Is he that old?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
He was in Goonies.
Yeah, I guess he is.
He's fucking...
he's old as shit.
Yeah, he's been around forever.
Good Lord.
Josh Brolin, but he's a teenage skater in this movie, and the description is, quote, 2 skateboarding gangs battle each other for supremacy, and a member of one gang falls in love with the sister of his rival.
Ew.
Which is just the story of every movie like that.
It's just Romeo and Juliet.
That's all it is.
Jesus.
It's over and over Romeo and Juliet. 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb.
Really?
I think it's for nostalgia purposes.
It's gotta be.
It's one of those where it's got like all the music from the time, and
it's a bunch of chicks that love Josh Brolin.
Yeah, and the old skaters, and it's like old people who skated back then who probably, whatever, remembered it when they were kids.
Yeah.
It's cheesy.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Christian plays, surprisingly, a skateboarder.
Weird.
In some skateboarding scenes.
Some range.
So it's weird. Yeah, it's got, it's not just him, too. There's Steve Caballero's in it, Tony Hawk's in it, Mike McGill's in it. There's all the big guys are in this movie as pool skaters.
The usual suspects.
Usual suspects here. So by the mid 80s here, Tony Hawk becomes a force. Then you can't ignore him anymore. And like by the time I was skating, he was already like his board was the most prominent board. Like Tony Hawk was the ramp board you got. And it's we'll talk about this in a little bit here, the way that skating changed, but Tony Hawk is winning a bunch of shit. He's doing very well, and so is Christian, but they're just so different. Like Tony Hawk is so clean cut seeming. Tony Hawk said, quote, "Christian was the heir, the showman. I was the technician. I could go high, but I couldn't do it consistently. I always wished I could go as big as he did." And I think that's just, well, a lot of it is his size and whatever, but he got so fucking high in the air, so it was ridiculous. So they were the kind of the one guy puts it perfectly. He says there was starting to be a division between the hardcore punk skater and the skate park skater. So this is kind of like the rich kids versus the kids who have to go take over somebody's pool because they're on vacation for a week. It's that, or the parents who let the kid drain the pool so they could skate.
Can you imagine coming home from fucking Tahiti to your drain pool with black shit everywhere?
Shit broken, the lip of the pool.
There's broken bottles in the bottom. Oh, motherfucker.
Used condoms all around the yard and beer bottles and shit.
Condoms?
So mad.
It's just, your backyard's just dripping in jizz.
Oh, yeah, that's true. What am I talking about? Raw dogging all over the place. These guys aren't using condoms.
No way.
They're breaking their neck at any second. Condoms are off the table.
We'll just refill the pool with it. What do you guys say?
Yeah.
We drained it for them. We may as well just fill it back up.
Everybody get on the edge. This guy says, quote, "Because Tony's dad was always around, Tony had the reputation of being a goody-goody guy while everybody else was getting stoned all the time." See, Hosoi's dad was around too, but he was getting stoned with all the guys, so he was considered kind of, trash like them, whereas Tony Hawk is considered, he's going to get in his daddy's Volvo and drive away after the tournament. So they talked about the pre-contest things they used to do, and I guess Tony Hawk's dad would have Tony doing calisthenics in the parking lot, like warming up properly, and meanwhile, Christian and Ivan would be doing fucking bong hits in the van, literally doing bong hits in the van and all this sort of shit. And he was like, "You ready?" "I'm ready." "Yeah. Hold on." "Okay." "I'm good." So
Tony's having orange slices.
Yeah, literally doing calisthenics. Like, "Come on, more squat thrusts, Tony." And he's like, "Well, it's skating.
I'm trying to be a badass, Dad."
"Yeah, Dad, I'm trying to be..."
Don't say squat thrust.
My haircut's not helping already.
No. I'm fucking 11 and I've got this enormous Adam's apple, Dad. I look like an asshole.
I'm a goofy shit.
My Adam's apple sticks out further than my nose,
That's
which
weird.
also sticks out way too far. It's
also further, yes. And I still have the same haircut. I have to keep this how long?
Till 60?
40 years? Jesus Christ. Ma, Dad said I have to keep this haircut till I collect Social Security. Is that true? Fuck.
Seems like he lost a bet.
Not true. Damn it.
I hope he hears this and realizes tomorrow that he doesn't have to do it anymore.
It's like, I can just do what I want.
I can shave this.
I can shave it. I can fucking grow it out. I could just get a normal haircut that's not a fucking swoopy weird thing like that. So Christian here was the cool guy that everybody, you wanted to be like Christian, basically. Cool and amazingly good. Whereas Tony Hawk was like, he's a dork.
Right.
Later on he becomes not so much a dork, obviously. But he ends up founding his own company in 1985. So at 18, he founds his own company, which is Hosoi Skates. And I remember this logo very clearly. It's his name with a rising sun, like a Japanese type of thing here. He said he was making, a few $1,000 a month. He had decks. He said he was making a few $1,000 a month on just the decks.
Wow.
Just the boards. And then he had the Jimmie Z and Oakley, Swatch, Converse. He's the most 80s. The most 80s.
When you think Oakley's, not Oakley's, fucking razor blade Oakleys. The ugliest Oakleys ever.
These were probably more frog skin Oakleys, I feel
think
like.
So?
Yeah. I
what year
don't
is this?
think like 86.
Oh, maybe.
I think these were like probably that Oakley.
May have taken a while for those blades.
Yeah, the Ray-Ban looking Oakleys. Okay. I feel like that's what they were, because that's what was popular back then.
Really?
Like, picture Tom Cruise and everybody Ray-Bans. He doesn't have those weird.
Was that like 90s?
It was like 90, like 89, 90.
Those were horrible.
When people started perming their mullets.
Okay.
You know what I mean? When
the
they
Macho Man glasses.
And they were like, you know what? This is a good mullet, but I need to make it puffier. And if we could put blonde highlights in it, I think that would really accentuate the mullet.
And then glasses that go from purple on the bridge of your nose to orange over your eyes and back to purple on the front. What are we doing?
It's funny that the mullet had to really make a one last final hurrah with like blowout mullets and like
in your face mullet.
Fuck it, man. It's the last days. It's the last days. Just fucking let it go and then cut it off. This is not going to be cool.
Nuts.
Next year, Converse put out a poster with Christian Hosoi and Magic Johnson on it.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. He was getting to be a mainstream star, and they looked at him as such a young guy.
Yeah.
They were like, this is like you can get into the kids who don't like sports with this kids, because the Magic Johnson does nothing for the kids who are like, fuck sports.
Right.
Like, I like music and I like this and that.
We might make basketball cool to those kids.
Not basketball. Doesn't matter if they like basketball. They can still sell them Converse.
Yeah.
That's all they care about. We don't give a fuck what you like.
That's what he had, is the Converse shoes with him and Magic.
That was because they were both Converse. Later on, he'll be with Vans, and he'll be kind of stick with them for a long time here. He would travel around the world. He said that was where he made the most money, doing like the skating demonstrations that they would do to promote a skate shop or a company. Hey, we got Christian Hosoi riding the ramp today, and he'd show up and do that. He made up to $5,000 a day to do that in the mid 80s.
To skate
in the mid 80s
a day.
That's which is $15,000 a day now. I mean, it's crazy. He appeared. He had Coke and Pepsi commercials that he was in the background skating, doing all that shit. So he was. I don't remember which one, but he was in a Beastie Boys video skating around to one of the, I can't remember which one they had all the skaters in.
I don't know.
And then obviously thrashing here. He was making at one point here in the mid 80s, he's making about $350,000 a year.
Wow.
And I like how in this article they mentioned the average NBA salary was $300,000 at that point. So
he's making more than an average NBA player.
An athlete, than an actual like mainstream.
Somebody went to college for the shit.
Mainstream on television, every night of the week, professional athlete. At this point, he bought a Mustang, he bought a Harley.
Fuck yeah.
He bought a big Jeep that he did all up.
I like it.
He bought a McLaren.
Slow down, Junior.
Yeah.
Back up. You don't need that car.
He had those before he had a license, which is amazing. He just bought a bunch of cars. I don't have a license.
A little Bow Wow?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to buy all this shit. License? I got to get one of those?
I gotta do
Fuck. They look cool in the driveway for now. But he had all sorts of famous friends. He was hanging out with all like movie stars and musicians and shit, because he was famous too. He lived in L.A. Everybody knew who he was. He was cool. He says, quote, "I was just a teenager, but I was living the full rock star life. I could have anything I wanted, do whatever I wanted, girls, cars, clubs, drugs." He was living the dream. He meets a lady in 1987 that he'll have a relationship with. It is the daughter of Lou Rawls, the singer.
What?
Luana Rawls.
He's dating Lou Rawls' daughter?
He's dating Lou Rawls' daughter. They met in a club in 1987. She said she didn't know who he was, but she knew he was somebody when he walked in.
Yeah.
That's the vibe he had.
Okay.
She said, quote, "When he walked into the room stopped. It had nothing to do with skateboarding. He was a hot, charismatic guy."
Lou Rawls' daughter is impressed with his charisma?
Walks in the door. fucking record scratch. Everybody looks.
Lou Rawls stops playing.
That's it. Right off of there.
Who the fuck is that?
So they meet this night and they start a relationship together. They live in a house. They buy a house he buys a house in Echo Park that was the former house of W.C. Fields.
What?
So this is he's moving into an old Hollywood mansion.
He's doing it real.
That's insane. Like he's literally old Hollywood mansion. Like people, I'm sure like girls were like young starlets were drugged, killed and buried here, and shipped out and put out in the Pacific from this very house. You know, that's what they used to do back then.
For all we know, the Black Dahlia was sectioned up here.
That's it. Bring in more starlets, please. You know, that's it. That's the mill.
It's just fucking bananas. Like, and a guy like this, that's been smoking weed for a long time and partying, probably just assumes this lifestyle is just going to always be there.
It's ever since he can remember. Right. It's been doing great.
And for me, I'd walk in that house and go, "Can you fucking believe this?
This is crazy.
I can't believe I'm doing this."
He's just been good since he can remember. He had a big half pipe constructed in the backyard of his Echo Park mansion that W.C. Fields used to live in while he goes out with Lou Rawls' daughter and cashes big fat fucking checks. Grace. This is Grace. Come on. It does not get...
Unbelievable.
It does not get any better than what's going on right here. There's no way to get higher than this. It is fucking Grace right here, without a doubt. Grace at 20.
Lou Rawls is signing off on his daughter blowing you.
Oh, yeah.
This is unbelievable.
Either way, she's doing it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, she's,
whether he likes it or not, it's
Lou.
happening. So, yeah. They talk, basically, they started talking based on mutual musical likes, and then it went from there, and art stuff too, because she knew art and he knew art stuff because of his dad, and that's how it went. Apparently she's very forward, and he says that some of his friends didn't understand why he liked her, and he said that she had her own opinions and challenged him and always spoke her mind, and he liked that. Said they had a lot in common. They liked fashion and they liked to go out and dance and shit like that.
She's like his mom.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what it is. He says, quote, "People love us separately, but they love us even more when we're together." So they became kind of a unit like that. Well, I don't know if it's healthy for him here. No. So, he says it was crazy. He said that people would invite him to parties and, try to lure him there because that would get other people to come there. And they would give him drugs and shit like that and give him stuff to go to parties. It would be like the gift bags they give these people to go to award shows.
Because you need that star power at your party.
That's what it is. And he was cool, and people go, "Oh shit, Christian Hosoi is going to be there," and they'd go. He was always fighting with Luana, Lou Rawls' daughter here, always fighting. He said that at one point he told her he wanted an open relationship.
Oh, you idiot.
And she obviously was not okay with that. She said, "Get the fuck out of here."
You tell Lou Rawls' daughter that?
No. And so she apparently, broke up with him, and then Eddie Murphy moved in on her, is what he said. He was not happy about that. He said his friend tells me that Eddie had sent Luana a bouquet of flowers the size of a Volkswagen. On top of that, he gave her a $20,000 Rolex.
Yeah.
Luana still had some things of hers at my house, and when she came to get them, he said he made her make a decision of who are you going to be with.
Yeah.
And he said that she chose him. So... add to that should have been Grace right there.
Oh, yeah.
That should have, when you're chosen over Beverly Hills Cop at this point, who was the most famous guy in the world, Eddie Murphy at this point. I mean, Jesus Christ, Raw just came out.
Right.
He is on top of the world right now.
Everybody knows him.
Oh, he's on top of the world.
And she went with him.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's funny, like you said that. Just like his mom, because he says that having Luana at my side gives me the sense of structure that I never had before. The same thing as his mom.
Yeah.
This is exactly what his dad did with his mom. I don't spend all my time trying to hustle girls any longer. He said I was faithful for a while and for a little while.
Yeah.
And that's how that would go. And then they'd go out. She'd do her thing during the day. She had modeling shit and doing music videos, and he would do his skating. And then they go out together at night. And he said it was they were a good couple together. She thinks a little differently of the situation.
She has a different take?
She has a different take on it. Maybe he was a little clouded by shit. He just remembered it to be sort of a nice time.
It was great.
She says, quote, "Christian was really out of it much of the time, and he was always always going out on me. I was getting out of the shower once when this girl knocks on my front door saying she's looking for Christian. I ask, who are you? And she replies, I'm so-and-so, the girl Christian has been living with for the past 2 weeks. I turn away and say, Christian, it's for you. Then I fade into the other room as they have a big fight. After that, I return and Christian and I have a blowout of our own. It wasn't just that one time either. While he was living with me, one time I called a girl's number trying to reach him, and her voicemail said, hi, Christian and I aren't available right now. Jesus Christ. Holy shit, man. That's fucking amazing.
That's a relationship. She sure thinks so. You don't put
he lives there.
You don't put his name on the fucking voicemail.
It's an actual living situation. Never mind anything else.
Christian and I aren't
Jesus
available.
Christ. He says, aren't available. Wow. She says, quote, I'd give him money to eat at Taco Bell or wherever, and he wouldn't come home for a week.
Man, that shit's stretched.
Wow.
I remember Taco Bell being cheap, but that's cheap.
That's really at a week. He was with a different girl every night. Well, maybe not every night, but close. He was running the streets, running from the law, but most of all, he was running from himself. I didn't realize that until I got into recovery. We were good together 2.5 years, but it was rarely good. Or we were together 2.5 years, but it was rarely good. So he remembers I'd skate. She'd go do her work at night. We'd go out together. Everything's great. She remembers
he was never around,
living with other women at the time that they were together.
Literally fucking a different woman every day.
Yeah, that's the thing. But he was very generous with all of the other skaters and all the younger skaters, anybody less successful than him. He had they said he would go to Hawaii or to Rio to skate and do things, and he'd take 6-7 skaters with him and pay for it all. Pay for their flights, pay for their every bit of food.
That's ridiculous.
He'd just pay for them to try to help them out.
Christian, this ain't lasting forever, bud.
Yeah, one of his friends says, this is Luann actually. Luann, she says, quote, we would go out to get sushi and there would be this posse of 15 boys around us and Christian would pay for everyone.
God, Jesus.
So that is unsustainable.
Idiot.
That's crazy. They talk about one time he's in Hawaii and he always would rent a white Lincoln Town car every town he went to. That was his signature. His signature.
Cool.
Yeah, but it's Boss Hogg. That's his guy.
It's pretty cool still.
Yeah, it's his thing if you do it consistently. Yeah. And he said that he would.
Yeah,
that's what he was driving.
It was a white cat. Wasn't it a white cat?
It might have a Caddy or a Lincoln. It was one of those.
Either way, it's a white long car.
A big long white car. Yeah, exactly. Jesus Christ. So basically, he would say he would hang out with the skaters and he would say, we're all going to go out later, you guys come in, and they'd say they have no money, and then he would basically slip kids money, shit like that. He'd be like, here, why don't you guys take this for food and beer and shit, and whatever. He was always hooking up the other skaters and shit like that, which is cool, know, and it made him a very good reputation with people. They all liked him, and he was he was doing really, really well here. The problem is, this is when skating changes. All through this time, you could go somewhere, do a skating demonstration where you'd ride a half pipe for 20 minutes, and someone would give you $5,000.
Yeah.
And now, in the late 80s, it's kind of everything changes. That vert shit goes away. Vert ramps aren't as much of a thing anymore because street skating comes in, because there's nowhere to skate otherwise. If you don't have a fucking half pipe, and you don't have a pool,
how the hell am I going to do that?
I'm from New York. There's not a lot of in-ground pools. They're above ground. You can't skate those. They're made of plastic. And in
the wintertime, they're fucking winterized.
And in an above ground pool in New York, in California, they're common. An above ground pool in New York, that fucking guy, those people really wanted to have that pool. It cost them way more than it should have. They will murder you if you fuck with their pool. It's a different thing. And it's not as much half pipes, I think, because of the weather. It's not going to last through a winter. It's going to be all messed up. So, I know back east, we had to street skate. That's all we had. So we street skated, and it became in California. The skate parks were closed, most of them. And if you were a poorer kid and you didn't have a pool and you didn't have a ramp, you started street skating too.
Shit, yeah.
So that's what we wanted. I remember when I started skating, it was right when this happened, because we all were street skating, but there wasn't a lot of street boards available. All the boards that you could get were ramp boards. They were all Tony Hawk, Mike McGill, Christian Hosoi boards. So I had a Mike McGill, which is a hardcore ramp board with huge concave and a big fucking tail and all this shit. Total vert ramp board, but we're skating on the street with it because that's all we.
You got to try to push that shit down the street every day.
That was the thing. So it was, and then later on, street became more popular and they put out more kind of street boards and all that sort of shit. But That's what was different here, is that changed everything. That changed the coverage. That changed now. Instead of the pictures all being guys in the air off of a ramp, they were a guy grinding on a handrail and shit like that. Yeah. The videos of the fisheye lens with the music and the guys, that's when this all happened. And it made the ramp guys seem like dinosaurs. Yeah. They were like kind of old farty.
Good for you guys.
Yeah. And they weren't like, they didn't, if you didn't kind of take that next step and do something different, if you were just a straight ramp guy, you'd be like true crime podcasts are going to be in a couple years. There's so many straight ones, and most of them are going to fall by the wayside because you're riding a boom. Whereas we take it and we go, well, let's kind of satire true crime sort of. So that way, when it becomes not cool, we were already making fun of it.
And hopefully we stick around.
That's the point.
That.
Yeah. We were already making fun of it, and we're like, hey, we've been making fun of this shit for years. We've been saying, stop taking yourself so fucking seriously for years, and it makes us kind of, that's how we position ourselves.
That's what we're
basically
doing.
That's what we are.
We're trying to street skate this.
Exactly. We're trying to learn street skating basically, as a lot of guys did. Some of the guys went from ramp to street. Really, Danny Way was a great I remember a great ramp skater, went to street, was a great street skater, just no problem. Like footage of Mark Gonzalez of Gator trying to skate street was painful. Yeah. It was fucking painful. Yeah. It looked like kids that I knew when I was 12. It was awful. So they would pick up, basically they still had sponsorship deals, these vert ramp guys. And they still had, there'd still be demos and shit, but they weren't near the money they were making. Tony Hawk called it, quote, just eking it out at this point. This is when
Tony Hawk was?
Tony Hawk was too. Yeah. All the guys were. Wow. There was no money for anybody. It was just nobody cared to watch guys skate on ramps anymore.
How about that?
Yeah. He said, just eking it out. In the early 90s, I spent a week in Dallas doing 3 demos a day at Six Flags for $100 a day.
Wow.
He's working like a fucking middle comedian.
Yeah.
Like a middle 3 demos a day in Dallas
to make $300 in that hot ass. Oh boy,
to make $100 a day, not per demo.
Oh my god, $30 a demo,
$33 a demo.
Oh my god,
in the hot Dallas sun.
Oh Jesus,
that's amazing. And
you'd be praying that somebody from a book depository shoots you.
and that's Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
So he's the most famous one. So what do you think everyone else is living like? They're not even making $100 because Tony Hawk can draw people.
Tony's making what? Let's go to Dallas.
Jesus, never mind. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Can we get 50? So he said, quote, that could be discouraging if you're used to making thousands for one appearance, which shit. Yeah. That's as we've seen many comedians go from here to here and they don't take it well. It hurts. It hurts. Yeah. Christian says that he was fine with this whole thing. He said it wasn't a big deal. He's very kind of mellow about this shit.
Very, very Hawaii.
Very Hawaii. That's what I mean. I don't know if he picked this up from his dad or if it's just if you smoke weed from the time you're 10, you're pretty mellow. That could probably be it too.
Pretty chilled out.
You're real mellow, I think here. He said, quote, I've never been someone who dwells on the past. I could skate anywhere. If street skating was it, then I could skate on the street. But he said that's fine. Yeah. But the problem is all the new board companies like H Street and ones like that, because that's the one I remember I had a street board that was H Street and World Industries and all those. Yeah. They were all, Hosoi and those guys, they were considered the old time. Right. They were trying to do the new thing, so they didn't want him. Right. Even if he wanted a straight skate street, they were like, we don't want you. No. Not interested.
You're going to not sell our boards.
Yeah, that's the thing. 1991, he breaks up with Lou Rawls' daughter here. No. And so there's that. His sponsorship money is drying up. Everything is going wrong. Yeah. He has to move out of the W.C. Fields house. Oh, no. Where does he move?
Back home.
Back with his mom.
No.
So you have gone.
Oh, Jesus.
Not great.
No.
And just a matter of a few years. And it's literally just the market around you changing.
Shit.
He didn't become less good of a skater.
No, he just kept true crime podcasting.
He just kept doing it. He just going, and then he cut her head off, and then he cut her head off, and then he cut her head off, and people got fucking tired of it. That's it. He had no swerve in his game, apparently.
That is unbelievable.
And he was was really just a victim of circumstance, really, if you think about it. Because, I mean, guys like him and Tony Hawk, still great.
Yeah.
Nobody gave a shit anymore. And he said his dad had been making most of his business decisions.
Really?
Which was not great. His dad would tell him, are you going to spend all this money? Or you're going to save some of it?
Sometimes you got to spend it.
And his dad, he'd be like, I want to spend all this. And his dad would go, all right, just so you know, though, later on, don't come to me saying you didn't have your money because you spent it, rather than saying, no,
right.
Take this and put it aside.
What's wrong with you? You're going to go to Rio with how many people? What the fuck are you doing?
His dad offered, see, that's what I mean. Cool parent, too cool parent.
Right.
His dad offered no guidance.
Right.
It's one thing to not force the kid to do whatever, but it's the other thing to try to guide them in the right direction of, hey, maybe try to save a third of what you're making or save half of what you're making if you're making a good amount of money or, whatever. Doesn't quite work, though. His father says, quote, most corporates would have paperwork, but we weren't into that. It's not something you're into.
Shit sounds like a problem.
It's
you know
like
what I mean?
We weren't into it, bro. Like I rolled some weed up in some paperwork and smoked it, but it just wasn't that good.
My paperwork's real tight.
I rolled my paperwork tight, man, bro. Jesus Christ.
Paperwork? Fuck yeah, so good at it.
I'm fucking good at paperwork.
Hit this shit, you tell me.
Take this out. That's good paperwork.
See if it's loose.
It's tight. Tight. He said, we didn't have contracts. We didn't want to create this paperwork lawyer thing. This is a sport that's done underground.
The fuck are you talking about?
A corporation is a paperwork lawyer thing, whether you like it or not.
When you have cars and houses that a man by his initials used to own, you have paperwork.
That's the fucking thing, man. You have to have paperwork.
A man's so rich he didn't have time for a first name. That's who owned this first. You have paperwork.
But people, that's what I mean. And people who are cool and people, rock stars, they have corporations and they keep their business shit together. They still have to pay taxes and bills and things.
Wow.
Even if they wear crazy makeup on stage, they still have to go off stage.
Right.
Gene Simmons is the most cold-blooded businessman there is, regardless of his fucking persona. He's an asshole too.
He's a douche.
But still, business-wise, that's what I'm saying. So now he's basically down to making a couple $1,000 a month, and that's if he goes like overseas, because it's overseas. It's still big.
Oh my God.
So like he can go to Japan and make a few bucks, but he has to go to Japan to do it.
Oh, that's horrible.
And he's very popular in Japan
because he's Japanese.
He's Japanese, which helps and makes him. One of his friends said, "quote It killed him. He was such the man, and it was hard for him to admit that he wasn't anymore."
Yeah.
Which I would imagine it would be. Yeah. And all other thing that puts all into this is this whole time he's doing a fuckload of drugs.
Oh no,
just a fuckload of drugs, just a lot. You think Lou Rawls' daughter wasn't fucking doing lines off the back of a toilet? Come on.
Her last
allegedly
name is Rawls,
I don't know. Yeah,
for Christ's sake.
Something bad happened here. But this was bad. He says that it wasn't drug abuse. But it really wasn't drug abuse. That's the thing. This happened whether he could have been clean and sober and riding the ramp 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted what he was selling anymore. Yeah. He's got hamburgers. Everybody decided they don't like hamburgers anymore.
They don't like tacos today.
What are you supposed to do? You have hamburgers. So
chicken tacos are the shit.
That's what happened. But the drugs really got out of hand here. First it was, just obviously his weed. He never was a drinker really, he said though. No, he got into ecstasy and, we did acid and mescaline and mushrooms and.
But not a beer?
Just whatever.
Calm down, man.
I don't like it either. That's the thing. It's a weird feeling. But then after coke, he started getting into his drug of choice, crystal meth. Yeah. Which is where you want to be. Yeah. Really where you want to be here. He said that when he was on crystal meth, just skating seemed effortless to him. He loved it. He was real into crystal meth. Yeah. 93, he moves again out of his mom's house and basically he just moves to be closer to his friends where the drugs are. His one friend said, quote, he could have progressed as a street skater. He was doing handrails, stairs, but it killed him so bad being out of the magazines. Then he moved out of the neighborhood and we couldn't keep tabs on him. If we had known he wasn't skating, we would have killed him. So he basically stopped skating and started doing drugs. He got frustrated trying to skate street and not being the star that he was, just another guy decent at skating street, but not holy shit. No one, everybody doesn't stop to watch him and shit like that. So that feeling is
he needs the X Games so bad.
Yeah, well, that's really going to come up here big time here. So he says that his drug use accelerated hard in 94, 95.
Oh, boy.
He said that he went from snorting speed to smoking it.
Oh, no.
So not good. He said, quote, coke was out, speed was in. I was partying and going to clubs, doing a bunch of meth and ecstasy. I was flying, and I was never afraid of flying high.
We know.
So, yeah, he's a fucking mess right now. Tony Hawk says, quote, we were all so young, making a lot of money, being rock stars. You don't think it's going to end. But when the sport took a dip, a lot of guys couldn't handle it. I didn't fall into the trap of celebrity and partying and burning out. So when things turned back around, I was one of the only guys from that generation still skating hard.
Good for you, you fucking nerd.
Yeah.
My dad said it was bad for me.
My dad said not to do drugs, so I just stayed in his house and waited for it to come back again. And then my dad let me out and gave me this haircut. Come on, son, sit down. It's time for another haircut. He still has to go to his dad's house to get haircuts. Oh, man. He sits him down in the kitchen. Come on, Dad.
One more. It's
One more. I'm
back,
sorry.
boy.
It's coming back. The hair, this is going to be...
Fucking dork. Say that quote again. I fucking hate him now.
Which one? I didn't fall into the trap of celebrity and partying and burning out. So when things turned back around, I was one of the only guys from that generation still skating hard.
You can now buy my shirts at Kohl's.
Yeah, you can buy my shirts at Kohl's.
You, Tony.
I'm cool. Everybody's 6-year-old has my shit, and they don't even know who I am or why I'm famous. I love that.
Can you not fucking just buy into everything corporate at some point in your life? You know what I mean?
Nice Jordan shoes and Tony Hawk shirt. Who are either one of those people? Really awesome. Tell me who either one of those are. You don't have any fucking idea. Great. That's terrific. That's what I thought. Dickhead.
My mom says one day I can play the Tony Hawk game on PlayStation.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Fuck you, Trevor.
Who's Tony Hawk? He's a guy who makes video games?
Right.
Exactly.
Who? There's shirts at Kohl's. That's who he is.
He's the guy who makes video games.
Fuck you,
kind of like
Porter.
John Madden. Yeah. They don't know who he is either. So, Jesus Christ.
God damn it, Connor.
God damn it, you little fucking... Damn it, Tucker, I told... That's enough of that shit, Tucker. So
you haven't earned that shirt.
God damn it. Christian at this point stops shaving, grows a beard, grows his hair long.
Fuck yeah.
Gets a bunch of piercings. He's depressed, basically. He's hiding behind accoutrement at this point. He said this is the first time in his life he had to buy a pair of shoes that he can ever remember.
Oh my God.
He's been getting free shoes since he was 10.
I gotta go.
So,
Mom, my shoe. I got a hole in my shoe. Well, then go buy. I gotta do. Huh?
I thought I could just tell the guy and he sends me more. I don't know. No, they don't just. Okay.
That phone number doesn't exist. It's been disconnected.
Yeah. So he had to buy a pair of shoes. 1995. The ESPN decides, why don't we do this X Games thing and put it on the air? Okay. And at this point, skating was dead. Deader than fucking dog shit. Yeah. I can't describe. Now it's a big deal. The ramp, everybody watches it. We can't describe to you everything that was popular in the 80s was dead in 1995. Stand-up comedy was dead in 1995. Deader than, it was like the uncoolest thing you could do to do stand-up. It's like, you're doing stand-up? Jesus Christ. Ugh. Where's your sport coat? It was the worst. So skating was fucking dead as a doornail. Even kids who skated were like, it's lame now and shit like that. So anyway, they're looking for a way. This was the time when in 95 everything was X. X extreme. It's extreme. It's extreme that. ECW wrestling, Extreme Championship, all this, everything was extreme. They were looking to tap into the teen market, that how do we get into that Gen X thing and all that shit. So they were like, Mountain Dew was looking for a way, something to for something to sponsor to reach the kids. And they created the Extreme Games here. They've created as a showcase of alternative sports, BMX, inline skating, rock climbing, and skateboarding. That was what it was supposed to be.
How fast did the rock climbing fall out of that shit?
That's not an extra. No one's like, hey, bro, we're going to go rip a fucking rock, man. Like, nobody says that. No one ever said that. Rock climbing was never cool.
So dumb.
It was never like a cool, sweet thing to do, because you can't get super stoned and do that. You'll die. That's the thing. Everything else there, inline skating, BMX, you could do that stone.
The rollerblading eventually falls out of there too. But
thank God.
But it's so much fucking more badass than somebody climbing the side of a rock face. That's stupid.
You need to, the X Games are about sports
you
that
can
you
hurt
can be,
yourself.
Yeah, you need to be stoned to be good at these sports, and that doesn't fit into it.
No.
So it was
something you listen to Nirvana while you do it.
Yes.
Nobody listens to Nirvana and climbs a rock face.
That they don't at all. There's I got to concentrate. Stop that. I'm going to die. Jesus Christ. So this, honestly, I remember this, and in this article they talk about it, and I remember this because I was 16, 17 when this happened, and I remember thinking, fucking lame. Yeah. That's bullshit.
Dumb.
It's going to be fucking all polished and shitty.
Right.
And then they said they were only doing, it was going to be just big vert ramps, and we're like, well, who the fuck wants to watch that? We want to see guys street skate. But television is made. Vert ramps fit great. Half pipes fit wonderful on a television.
Great shot.
It's like a football field.
Yeah.
It's made for television.
Right.
It's the shape of it. Everything
Absolutely.
is perfect. Whereas street skating is not made for television because you have to follow someone to get their whole. To get the it's almost like the Copacabana Goodfella shot you need to get the thing of what they're doing. Right. Otherwise, it's just a guy did a trick and then you cut to another trick. So a lot of the kids were like, fuck this thing anyway. But they were going with it, and they were looking for, they said it fits on TV better. We're doing ramp.
Symmetrical as fuck.
Absolutely, which was great for all these vert guys who've been waiting for this opportunity. Now, 1995, while this is all going on, Christian is in his McLaren and gets pulled over for a traffic stop.
Oh, no.
And they search him and find a meth pipe in his glove compartment. So he's arrested and charged with possession of drug paraphernalia, gets bailed out of jail. He's facing possibly 30 days in jail if convicted. That's the max here. He doesn't show up for his hearing.
What a dipshit.
Like a fucking idiot.
Good Lord.
Yes. His friend said about him, quote, Christian was scared to death of going to jail. Well, yeah, so go clear it up.
It's 30 days, you dummy.
And clear it up. Yeah. You got a better chance if you show up and try to clear it up. So the judge issues a bench warrant for his arrest. And at that point, he's facing a potentially longer sentence now for skipping out on his date, too. And so now he basically starts hiding. He wouldn't go to skate contests because he was afraid he couldn't put himself on a poster because then he'd get arrested.
Right.
So he was afraid. He would do demos, but he would only do them outside the U.S. He'd go over to Japan and because they're not going to go to Japan to arrest him. Fucking extradite him over a meth pipe. So that's not going to happen. But if he's in, Ensenada or something in
Ontario.
Doing a goddamn, they're going to go get him.
Yeah.
So he goes to Japan and does all that. He said over there, steady supply of meth in Japan.
Really?
A lot of speed in Japan. Well, that society runs on it. Are you kidding me?
I guess that makes sense.
Look at it's all achieve. It's all on meth.
An 8-year-old that's working 19 hours a day.
Yeah.
Right.
Every decade that we have that's like this, we're going to go. It's all because everyone's on coke.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Yeah. In the 50s, everyone was all doing shit because all the housewives were on coke.
Right.
They're all on coke and the guys were drunk, so they'll do anything. It didn't matter. In the 80s, go. Everyone's on coke. Of course they're going fast.
Right.
Spinning around in circles. They're all coked out of their minds. So that's what Japan is, a giant America in the 80s. I feel like that whole country. So he said at this point he's not really skating anymore, so he just kept smoking meth. Smoking more meth. One of his friends here said, quote, he would have 4 strippers come over. That's a bad start right there.
Yeah.
He would have 4 strippers. That's excessive.
That's
you don't need 4 strippers. You don't need 1, but you really don't need 4. You can't. You have
3-4 strippers.
Sir, you have 1 penis. That's like the cartel people at the comedy club.
Right, that's why I said 3-4 girls.
I was they don't know about this. It's an inside joke. I was opening for a guy at a comedy club, and there was these Mexican cartel guys there that went to the club all the time.
Right.
They were known cartel guys.
Right.
They would literally
scorpions all over.
Oh
shit.
yeah. No, they would show you. They'd tell you who they were.
Yeah.
They were slipping hundreds in everybody's pocket. He'd give the manager $100 for sitting them down.
Right.
What the fuck? They would ask for a bottle of Louis XIII.
Right.
They were like, that'll be like $15,000. They're like, I didn't fucking ask how much it was. I said, can you put it on my table?
But they said it in Spanish.
Yeah. So these guys took a liking to me.
Right.
Me and the headliner. They hated the middle guy a lot. They wouldn't even talk to him. They literally turned away from him while he was on stage and started talking to each other. It was amazing. And they were so scary, this dude didn't say shit about it. They just let it happen. And this is like a good comic that would normally be like, what the fuck is your problem?
Yeah.
He wasn't saying shit.
He roasts some of the best, and he's...
Nope.
No, thank you.
So afterwards, these guys they corner both me and the headliner, and the headliner eventually asked him if he would want to sell coke for them. Since he's got a lot of friends in L.A., a lot of showbiz people, I bet they do a lot of coke. You guys maybe sell coke, and they start like numbers like we'll give you a brick of raw for $25. You take it here, you could sell it for $100. Even if you sell it wholesale, it's still going to be $100. That's $75 right in your pocket. All you have to do is shop it from here to here. So then they get to me and they want to party with me, and they're like, "Come on!" He goes, "Come on, we'll do some coke." He goes, "That would get you 5-6 girls." I go, 5-6 girls.
5-6.
That was their pitch to hang out.
Yeah.
I'll get you some coke, which I don't want, and 5-6 girls. I remember I literally stopped and I went, 5-6 girls? Yeah, 5-6 girls will get you. Yeah, it'll be all over you. It'll be great. And I go, that's a lot. I don't need.
Sounds terrible.
That's so much. Yeah, that sounds terrible. I'd have to talk to all these girls. That's just 5 people I have to talk to. Are you crazy?
Maybe 6.
Maybe 6. This is a nightmare. 5-6 girls. I was like, this is a fucking terrible, terrible thing. And then I said,
5-6 girls.
I said, joking around to him, because I knew, obviously, I said, "Gee, what do you guys do for a living?" I joke around. He goes, "We sell cars." Dead serious.
Sure you did.
And I went, all right. And then he smiled and like did his jacket thing and he walked away. I was like, this is amazing.
I sell cars.
We sell cars. 5-6 girls.
Clearly.
Good girls. Cars full of girls.
Yeah.
So,
but usually the car salesman selling fucking Fiats.
Yeah.
Got 5-6 girls.
5-6 girls in the trunk.
He doesn't have 5-6 girls' numbers in his phone.
No.
Including his aunts, his wives.
This guy did. Yeah. He owned 5-6 girls, I feel like. So this friend said he'd have 4 strippers come over, party with them, and do more speed. And before we knew it, the scene extinguished what Christian Hosoi had been. Yeah. So the X Games come, and the X Games, the producers, they have to pick kind of what, because all these things, any sports thing, they still have to pick storylines of what they're going to push. Is it going to be this, or if it's a tennis tournament, it's going to be Serena Williams, drama. Or this, whatever, Eastern European broad. Which one of these are going to fucking win? So they pick their 2 people, Tony Hawk, obviously, and Christian Hosoi.
Really? That's
the rivalry.
Wow.
That's going to be the rivalry. That's the drama. We're going to do interviews. We're going to make this up. They've been rivals since they were fucking 12.
How lucky.
Since 1980, and it's come to this mainstream stage on television. It's going to play itself out. It's a fucking great story. It really is, too. They sent a crew out to get footage of them, interviews with both of them about it, big profiles about them with like a pre-boxing HBO thing, they were doing it like it's the Olympics.
Christian talking shit, Tony complimenting him.
No, they were complimenting each other. Christian's very complimentary of everybody. He's not a shit talker.
Really?
He's real like Buddhist like that. Like totally.
You figure meth will rewire a brain.
It's weird. It doesn't. It's odd as that is. He's like a Buddhist womanizer. You know how that goes. So
perfect.
So yeah, this was the perfect thing. This was in Newport, Rhode Island. The X Games was going to be. This was fucking incredible. Tony Hawk says, quote, "We knew this was going to be big for all of us." This is Tony Hawk before this is doing demos 3 for $100. Think about that. He's so rich now. You can't walk. You can't go anywhere without seeing his clothes, his games. He's huge at this point. $100 for 3 fucking demos. We're talking. This is huge. He says, Tony Hawk, quote, "It was televised, so even if the actual competition was going to be lame, there was huge prize money and exposure." But then Christian said he wasn't going to go. Oh. So this is his big chance. He's been waiting his whole life for. He just didn't say why he wasn't going to go, but he said he wasn't going to go.
What?
Told Tony he's not going to go. Well, he's not going to go because he knows he's wanted. And if he knows he shows up at the X Games in a highly publicized TV appearance, they're probably going to arrest him.
Yeah.
He knows that. So he says that, he just doesn't go. The X Games happen. Tony Hawk becomes a household name that week. It took him a week. He became a household name. At the end, the announcers called him the Michael Jordan of skateboarding.
Wow.
He was a huge star.
Hosoi.
Everybody, literally made him a national star overnight. And they were talking about his skateboarding gear company throughout the late 90s here, Tony Hawk, started making $50 million a year through this. His autobiography is a bestseller. His video games are the top video games there are.
Best video game on earth.
Tony Hawk says, quote, Christian should have been there. He would have been the star of the X Games, and he could have ridden this wave with me.
Especially if he got arrested. There's nothing more punk rock than getting arrested at your job.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
if he showed up, skated a couple things amazing, and then said he can't participate because he was dragged out of here by fucking bounty hunters.
That's awesome.
He would have been the biggest thing in the world. And he's amazing.
Ah, shit.
His other friend here says, quote, Christian should have been the rock star of the X Games. If he had been there, he would have become a media star and would be making millions of dollars today. Literally, that was his chance.
Yeah.
And Tony Hawk was there and took it, and he didn't. And he I mean, at the time, it probably didn't seem like that was big of a deal.
Wow.
But it was literally the difference between being a billionaire and not being, and living with your mom.
How scared are you of 30 days in jail? You know
Dude,
what I mean? Even if it's 50.
Show up,
even
man.
If they double it.
Fuck
2 months?
Who cares? It's worth it.
You're going to get arrested at your job. I want that so bad.
That's what I mean. Everyone knows who he is. And, he says that, basically, Jesus Christ, one of the guys, the announcer, who was a X Games announcer, he said, dude, as far as I'm concerned, every dollar that Tony Hawk has made is really Christian's money.
Yeah.
He said that if he was on that with Tony Hawk wouldn't have even been, he wouldn't have gotten noticed, basically. He would have been a big star, but Hosoi would have been the star.
Wow.
Because he's so much more charismatic and so much more of a showman that everybody would have. They just latched on to Tony Hawk because he was the best one. But Hosoi he would have been more than Tony Hawk. And I believe that too. People would have saw him and went, holy shit, that dude's fucking awesome.
Every kid named Payson's wearing a Hosoi shirt instead of
that's what it was. That's what it would have been. So 1999, he gets a sponsored deal with shoes from a Japanese company.
Yeah.
Because he's not, through the late 90s, he's dodging court appearances. Gets arrested for possession charges a couple more times in the late 90s.
Man?
Dodges all court appearances through this whole thing. So all he's doing is skating in Japan. He's doing tons of meth. He's a fucking mess. He's a mess, but he gets, in Japan, he can still do business. So there's that. So he's got that going on. 2000 now, January 26, 2000. So it's at this point he talks about the fact that he's been, for years now, snorting, then smoking, and even shooting meth.
Oh, boy.
On a daily basis.
Yeah.
This is his thing here. He said that he loved it. He said everything about it was addicting for him. The whole process of it, he just really liked meth.
Yeah.
And he said basically that he was he thought about, like, I know I got to quit this eventually. Like, he's like, obviously I'm not going to do meth forever. That's not going to do that. But, he said, but it was still something he was into at the time. And at this point, he says a guy he knows in LA, is basically, asked him if he would bring some meth to Hawaii because he knew he was going to Hawaii. So he's like, hey, tell you what, here's, like 1.5 pounds of meth.
Yeah.
He said, will you take that with you?
We'll get you 4 or 5 girls.
Let's get you 4 or 5 girls, 5, 6 girls, some coke. So he says, sure, I'll do that.
Oh, boy.
And he says, no problem. He says he's, flown all over the world. He's never been fucked with ever. So he says, why not? What the hell?
Yeah.
This is a good thing. So he says, he tried it out for, as he puts it, for quality control purposes, of course. He wanted to
dry run. Oh,
to try the meth,
Oh, boy.
He said, so he's delivering it. So that's okay for him to do that sort of deal here. So he flies over to Hawaii. It's on a United flight. He lands. He gets there. And he said the whole time he's been real nervous and sweaty. He said before he took off, he ate some McDonald's at the airport and he was just getting real sweaty and just getting all sorts of
like a guy that doesn't smuggle drugs would do.
Or like a guy who's on meth and needs more would do. Either one of those things. Or both. So basically the whole thing is he looks shady the whole time. But he flies there. He's got a skateboard that he carries on and everything like that. So he flies to Hawaii. He gets there. He gets to the baggage carousel where he's waiting for his checked baggage. No. He's got the meth on him. He's got the meth on him. And he says, the police come up to him. The airport cops come up and they ask him, So, sir, where'd you travel from today? And he says, well, what's going on? And they said, quote, I have a suspicion you're carrying narcotics and I want to see your ID.
Oh, boy.
So he goes, okay, this is bad. He goes, I don't know where you get that idea. You can search my bags if you'd like. That's what he said. Like, I don't know. He was being like, I don't know what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm an upstanding citizen.
This is preposterous.
Yeah, this is here. You can search these if you want to really treat me like riffraff. Fucking Pac-Man comes in. He's like, I brought in, I had an arugula sandwich on the plane. Okay, it was delicious. Now I'm feeling good. I'm feeling nutrition, vitamins
flowing through
my system. And now you people are telling me I have drugs, and this is ridiculous.
Right.
All I have is arugula. Obviously, that's all I travel with. So they said, quote, actually, we need to search you.
Oh no.
So interesting. He says, no, that's illegal. You don't have any reason to search me. So he says, as he's talking, as he's talking to this guy, he said he's scanning the area for some place to run and dump this shit.
Yeah.
So he says he's looking along the sidewalk when he sees a couple guys watching him, and then he looks off to the side and he notices two more guys watching him. So he's like, oh, this is a fucking planned thing. They're all watching me. This isn't great. He looks around. He says it's all chain link fences around here.
I can't run.
People, he said that there's got to be some way out of this. Yeah. What do I do? So he says, all right, maybe I'll just talk my way out of it.
If only he was a great straight skater. He could street skate his way out of this.
You could ollie over the chain link fence and be out of here. They'd be like, whoa,
that was tubular.
That was amazing, man. So it's Hawaii. They'd be amazed by it. So he says that maybe he could, he says, he decides he's going to put his innocent face on, as he puts it, and lie here. He says, they said, what are you here in Hawaii for? And he's like, I used to live here and I have friends. I skate and all this shit. See my board. See, look at that. That's me on there.
Look what I do.
They said, but he says, the cop just says, I'm going to go get the dog. That's what he says. So he says, he's trying to call his bluff. He says, yeah, go get the dog, which generally they'll just go get the dog. They won't go, never mind. He says it's cool. So, apparently the dog gets there, circles around, and the dog doesn't do anything. He says that he notices, but I guess he gives the cop some sort of signal that, whatever. So they said that he has to go inside, and, they end up looking down. He's basically got it in his, he's got it like under his pants, basically. He's got baggy pants on. Yeah. Okay. So they get it, and he says, oh, look what we found, and then read him his rights. And they said to him, do you know how much trouble you're in right now? Yeah. And so he was like, Jesus Christ. He says, I don't think I'll do much time. He says, people get 6 years for murder, 4 for manslaughter. He's like, I got no felonies. Right. This is easy. I'll get probation. I'll be on the street. This is no problem. I'll just get probation. He says, I'm not going to rat on somebody. That's not what I'm going to do. So he says, all of a sudden, they turn this into an interrogation, and the cops start saying, you're going to tell us where you're taking this meth. You're going to tell us who you got it from, who you're working for, all that kind of shit. And he says he doesn't answer. And he says then they were like, they were being a little rough with him, telling him to, that he was, that he, he's obviously a courier here. What's going on? So he tells him some pool hall in Hawaii is where he's taken. He just lies and makes something up. And they said, who are you taking it to? And he makes up a name, Brian, guy named Brian. And they're like, yeah, that's not, you're not doing that. Basically, you're full of shit. They keep telling him, he keeps saying, I don't know what you're talking about. And the cop says, I think you do know what I'm talking about. The cop says, you don't have to worry about these people. 98% of people who turn someone in don't ever suffer any retaliation. And he says, well, he goes, you're not from LA. He goes, maybe that's how it is here in Hawaii, but in LA, it's a little more dangerous. And I'm not telling you shit, basically. So that's how it ends up working. And he's basically fucked here. They said they interrogate him. They say, you're gonna fucking, if you tell, maybe you'll get less time, but otherwise you're gonna get a shitload of time. And they're doing all this shit. It's a fucking pound and a half of meth. Is a lot of meth. It's a lot of meth.
You're in a lot of trouble.
Like the size of a good book, basically.
It's certainly a felony.
That is definitely for felony. And he said basically his friends have been telling him he doesn't look so good, and he thought maybe that's what it was, but turned out it was a big setup.
Of course.
It was a big setup. Yeah. Whoever gave him the meth was in trouble and got him. Yeah, that's how it works here. So he at this point, he's like, Jesus Christ, man, this is great. But the problem is the street value here on the islands of this meth is $60,000, which is about 4 times what it was in California.
God damn it!
So he says his take would have been about $3,000.
Yeah.
So that's what he was doing it for. It was $3,000 in free meth. So, he said he needed to because he was, didn't have any money. He was making shit. He said it was a bad thing. He says he'd never been bothered in an airport before, so he didn't think it was a big deal. Nobody ever messed with him. He looked like a meth head, though. If you saw the picture from when he looked like a guy who was on a bunch of meth. Mm-hmm. But it didn't matter. They didn't just look at him. They knew. Yeah. They knew what the fuck was going on here. So, it's so funny, too. He was trying to act like it was like no big deal. Like, I'm just skating. Yeah. Like, just picture that. It's worse than Ben Cousins. Yeah, what do you mean? Yeah. In my butthole? Yeah. Really?
Again?
Shit. So, he has all this meth, and he said he got to the holding tank, and in Hawaii, everybody knew who he was.
Yeah.
And he said, so he get there, and he said people are cheering. Oh, no. People are going, Christian Hosoi, no way, we saw you on the news last night. You're my idol, he said. He said, fucking,
don't have me.
Yeah, people want his autograph, but the guards won't allow it. He's just like, this is so fucking weird. He thought it was just the weirdest thing in the world to be like in a Hawaiian jail.
Yeah.
He says one of the older guys, he once saw me skate, and he used to own one of my boards. Yeah. He says the guy seemed friendly enough, so I asked him, what are you here for? And the guy says, oh, murder. And he says, when he asks what I'm in for, I tell him about my meth bust, expecting him to say, you'll be fine. Instead, he replies, oh, brah, you're looking at 10 years. It's mandatory. He says he's doing double life and will never be going home. He says 10 years is a walk in the park.
Oh,
you're fine.
Are you out of your mind?
It's like, huh?
10 years of my life?
10 what?
It's what?
He's sitting in a Hawaiian holding cell at this point. And, people are coming in and out to talk to him because he's well known.
Yeah.
So this guy's got murderers coming in. He's got all this shit. And then there's a knock on his cell door and it opens. He's like, why are you knocking? I'm in jail. And it opens up and it's the Mexican pimp. And he says, how is it you've come to arrive here?
Right.
Why are you here? Why? I realize this is not Mexico.
Yeah.
It is Hawaii. But same thing. You have 4, 5, 6 girls come over. I don't understand why you have them there. Why do you not sell them? That seems like the solution.
Right.
You say you come over for $50 each, then you sell them for $1,000 each. That way you don't have to transport meth.
See how $9.50 each one.
It's
times 4, 5, 6.
All profit. And you don't have to tape a girl to your leg to take her to Hawaii. She can fly right next to you in seat. It's wonderful.
Unbelievable.
I'm very disappointed in you.
You make her pay.
You have done wrong. You make her pay with her own meth, and she also can carry meth. It's like,
you make her carry it.
It's like you're not even thinking. Poof, and a puff of scotch and
4 or 5 girls.
4 or 5 girls.
Unbelievable.
He's gone. You fly through the air like a little girl. I was planning on selling you at the Tijuana whorehouse, but then I decided, oh no, he is just an Asian boy.
Incredible.
So he says he just wanted to go home, obviously, after all this. But then he ends up realizing no bail.
Yeah.
They don't give him bail, so he's like, shit, that's not a good thing.
Now what?
3 days after the arrest, the DA convinces the judge that he's a danger to the community and a flight risk because he's not from there. He's like, he was a flight risk. He said, I was going to fucking run as far as I could.
Yeah.
In court, he's facing up to 87 months in jail on federal distribution charges.
That's less than 12.
That's less than 12. He says he falls into a routine here. He even started smoking cigarettes. Mm-hmm. He said he never really, once he said years earlier, he tried getting addicted to cigarettes so he could figure out why so many of his friends enjoyed them. So I wonder why these are good. So it's very fucking fun.
Tried to get addicted.
Yeah. He said he would also use cigarette ashes on my homemade aluminum can crack pipe. I don't know why.
What?
I don't smoke crack out of a crack pipes or anything really, so I don't know. He says in jail I smoke because we get extra time outside if we light up. So he's like, that's good there.
He's getting that cigarette break.
Yeah. He tells his girlfriend, he's got a girlfriend at this point now, a new girlfriend named Jennifer. And he says she comes to see him and he tells her that he's looking at 10 years. He says, I don't know if I'm going to make it. She says to him, I love you and we'll get through this. We've just got to trust in God.
Yeah.
And he says, what's God going to do for me? I need a lawyer.
Yeah.
Is what he says, which is the appropriate response to that question. Lawyer, then God. We'll worry about God later. Now, July of 2001, he marries this young lady that he's been seeing. More on who she is in a minute here. And through all this, he's convinced to plead guilty to his distribution charges. So he pleads guilty, and sentencing for his crime is September 10th, 2001. Is his sentencing. September 10th.
That's an interesting day.
2001.
Is it a clear day?
I was going to say, so even if you get a shitload of years, the next day you're like, well, I'm distracted from feeling bad for myself. Jesus, this is awfully eventful.
At least my flight was smooth.
Yeah. At least I didn't do this. So,
At least it was a United flight that made it.
Fuck, man. Didn't. At least I stayed in the West. So he pleads guilty to intent to distribute, basically. He says that he attributed in court his conduct to an addiction to drugs and financial problems with his business that led to bankruptcy. He said, quote, I'm thankful I'm not dead because of my drug addiction. He says since he's been in jail, he's turned his life around.
Yeah.
He's good now. He says he wants to make a difference in the lives of other youths. And he says, quote, I want to be a good example. I don't want to be just a top professional skateboarder. He said since his arrest, he's given his life to Jesus Christ.
No.
Jesus Christ, and devotes his time to talking to other inmates and at-risk juveniles about his skateboard industry success and drug addiction. He wants to expand his reach to high school youths and youth ministries. Yes, he provided testimony saying he's in court. He's saying to these troubled youths, he talks to them. He wants to get sponsors to build a skate park where he can go and fucking help people. This is under the direction of the pastor and director of the City Lights Christian Youth Center, who that pastor is his niece is the one who married Christian.
Of course.
So that's what we're doing now. The judge said he considered Hosoi's rehabilitation efforts and cooperation with the government in determining a sentence on the lower end of the guidelines. He said, quote, the court believes Mr. Hosoi tried to cooperate to the extent possible and is remorseful. Hosoi apologized and expressed remorse. The court received more than 100 letters in support of Hosoi, including letters from 6 mainland sheriff deputies. One extolled the effect he made on a group of troubled youths who visited him in prison. The assistant U.S. attorney here disputed the extent of Hosoi's cooperation. He said Hosoi led federal investigators, quote, on a wild goose chase for several months after his arrest based on information he provided. The bar in Honolulu, some guy named Brian, and to this day has not been fully cooperative by providing the full names of those he worked for. He said, I've prosecuted others who provided detailed information about these people they were involved with some risk for themselves. This defendant just hasn't done that. So there's an argument back and forth. What do you think the judge says? He says, you, sir, may fuck off. 5 years and 10 months in prison.
That's a lot.
Which is below the minimum.
Not by much.
And 3 years of supervised release. It's below a mandatory minimum. They gave him a lower than mandatory sentence.
That's sweet.
Which is interesting. He says that as soon as he was sentenced, he accepted his fate and Christ, and he was fine with it. Okay. And so there's an appeal a year later on the sentence because it's
because he accepts it.
Jesus wants to get clarification on a couple of legal issues. Jesus is going to work up a couple of briefs just to make sure this is all on the up and up. But the appeal is it's actually the government appealing about the sentence. And it's a really complicated thing because
they're trying to put him in for at least the minimum.
Well, another law got passed after the sentencing, so then they were trying to make it retroactive. It's very complicated. They end up vacating and remanding the sentence and then resentencing him to the same thing, basically, under the different statute. So it can't be challenged. It's a legalese bullshit that nobody cares about. So He's in the San Bernardino detention center. They take
him back to California.
That's where he ends up doing his time here. Now, at this point, he says that, because they're talking about in this article about how Tony Hawk, at this point, they went and visited him.
Yeah.
He's got this mansion and his kids, and he's got 2 pools in his backyard, one to swim and one to skate. And he's living the life. Got 10 cars. And he says that he never thinks about whether it should be him in that place. He said he doesn't ever think about it.
Oh, boy.
Which is insane. I don't think so.
I don't know how you could do that.
He said, I don't dwell on the past. That was Tony's journey, and God bless him. This is the path the Lord has set me on, and I'm grateful that I will be able to use my name in skating as my key. He said, I can't wait to skate again. Kids will see me, and I can represent Christ. I want to acknowledge him in everything I do. He's getting real Christy.
Nobody wants a Jesus skater.
Everyone's gonna be like, oh, Christian Hosoi is cool, and he's like, let me tell you about the Lord. I feel bad for those kids who are like, they want to come up to him wanting their idol, and
show me a nose grind.
No shit.
Have you heard the good news? Fuck the good news.
I mean, I do. I feel bad. I feel bad for them, Jimmie. But not nearly as bad as I feel.
What?
For Christian Hosoi.
No.
He works at Intel in Section 9 in DeKalb, Georgia.
Wow.
Christian Hosoi.
On the outskirts of Atlanta.
Poor bastard.
Oh, boy.
So, 2004.
That's the only one.
It's the only one I could find. All the rest are him. He has 9 LinkedIn fucking. They're all like California skateboard, this and that. 2004 now, he is released early.
Really?
For good behavior.
Yeah.
So he does even less time. He does basically 4 years.
Almost 3 days in returns. Like Christ.
Like Christ. Immediately upon his release from prison, pretty much, he signs a new deal with Vans.
Yeah.
They hook him up there. 2006, a documentary comes out of him. It's Rising Sun, S-O-N, the legend of skateboarder Christian Hosoi. And I remember when this came on Netflix, I was like, a fucking Christian Hosoi documentary? Awesome. I want to see him. And then I clicked on it, and it was all like, how the Lord Jesus tells you that. And I'm like, never mind. And I have not watched it, even though I would love to watch him skate. It's going to be a lot of him talking about Jesus. And that's all his book. Real Jesus-y.
Really?
We'll talk about it. Because I got a lot of info from his book, too. Super Jesus-y. He is all Jesus all the time now.
No.
All Jesus all the time.
Bad radio station.
Oh,
Christian.
man. 2008, he joined forces with Jay Haslip, I don't know who that is, Brian Sumner, and others to create The Uprising, a skate-based ministry. In 2000, they are just like wrestlers. I swear to God. This is what Ted DiBiase, this is what wrestlers do. I did cocaine, and now I want to wrestle for the Lord. What?
I wrestled my demons to speak to my
fucking
Jesus.
Weird. Yeah, that's what they're doing. The Uprising was documented on a Christian youth television network and made into a reality show, which sounds boring as shit. The first season had 8 episodes following the ministry around California and England. I think they have 5 seasons in this shit too, by the way. So he's skating still. He gets out of jail. He's first in the in 2008, the 10th annual Tim Broch Memorial Contest Grand Masters event. Sounds like a senior circuit, basically. First in the 2008 Etnies GVR Skull Bowl. Best 80s in 2008, the all 80s all vert challenge day. Okay. It's basically like that annual team event. Second in the 2009 Pro Tech Pool Party Masters division. It's all these, first in 2009 X Games 15 Skateboard Park Legends contest.
There's
so
far too many qualifications.
It's legends. It's a senior circuit is what it is here. So they can't do the shit that 20-year-old kids can do. There's their bodies.
It's the Fragile Hip League.
Exactly. Yeah, they're a lot of pads on under those baggy clothes.
Lots of compression pants.
Oh yeah. First in 2010 in the X Games 16 Park Legends contest. So he does really well amongst other old people. June 12, 2012, his book comes out. Hosoi, My Life as a Skateboarder, Junkie, Inmate, Pastor. So, I read this book. It's interesting. And he talks, he's very honest about his youth and about for whatever he remembers. Like that thing with Luana Rawls, he'll say like, this is what we did. It was great. But then her statement is also from that book. where they got her statement. So there is like if he says something and someone contradicts it, they'll have their statement in there too.
Awesome.
So it's kind of
like Nikki Sixx's book.
Kind of like that. A little bit. It's a little bit like Nikki Sixx's book. Yeah. The foreword is by Tony Hawk.
Really?
As well too here.
What did Tony say?
So he just nice things about him. He just said he was a guy that I looked up to.
I really wish I wasn't writing this forward to this book.
I really wish that he didn't have to write this book because he was so rich he didn't have time.
I wish this wasn't paying his mortgage.
Yes.
Rent. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Hosoi says about his book, it's about hope and second chances. I'm a pretty serious person. I'm serious about what I'm doing. Eternity is something that you shouldn't take too lightly.
Ew.
He is so much Jesus now, dude.
Damn it.
It's all Jesus all the time. It's fucking too much. I mean, good for him. It's better than meth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
great.
For sure.
Hey, he's happy. He's got still with his wife. They have 4 kids now.
Yeah.
Him and his wife, they're happy. He's got a life. He's doing wonderful. He's not on meth. He looks healthy.
Yeah.
You know what? Fucking good for you. I don't want to talk to you, though.
There are more people addicted to meth that are ruining other people's lives than people that are addicted to Jesus.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What he's doing, way better than what he was doing before. Just stay away from me with that shit.
Right.
It's fine.
Also, he can still steal from people.
And he still can steal. It's possible. So 2013, he's elected to the Skateboarding Hall of Fame.
Really?
Which I didn't even know there was one.
I didn't either.
But he's
Where the
in
fuck is it?
Is
it a freestanding building or is it online?
It's
got to be online.
Well, it says for Skateboarding Hall of Fame and Museum.
Oh.
So there must be.
There's a brick and mortar for this
maybe,
shit.
Or just pictures of I don't know. Here's
Somebody's
a skateboard from Tony Alva's skateboard from 1978. I don't know. Here's something that Jay Adams beat up a gay guy with, some instrument. Homophobic lunatic. We got a bunch of good skating episodes.
I can't wait.
Lots of meth. One dude who just loves prison sex. It's weird as shit.
How is that?
It's
all
weird.
Right. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's
I'm
strange.
looking forward to it.
So currently, Christian Hosoi is the outreach pastor at the Sanctuary in Orange County, California. So it says here that Pastor Christian now dedicates his life to a message of hope and restoration, traveling nationwide and being interviewed and featured in national magazines and TV shows. He shares his life story and God's love. He uses professional skateboarding and world recognition as a platform to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. Pastor Christian appeared in the Uprising reality series, attends the Luis Palau festivals, living at events and churches around the world. He's still active as a professional skateboarder, winning contests and receiving numerous awards. Pastor Christian and his wife Jennifer reside in Huntington Beach, where they have 3 children. They actually have 4 now.
Crushing it.
So he's doing fine now.
Yeah.
Can't get enough of Christian Hosoi.
We've had enough.
We've had an ass full. But Christian Hosoi, you can follow him on Twitter at Christian Hosoi. Pretty easy. Servant, soldier, and ambassador of God and the Lord Jesus Christ.
How's he doing?
That's his thing there. It says, location, where I'm supposed to be.
Oh, boy.
Triple exclamation point. And he has, he's following 845 people. He only has 24,000 followers.
Wow.
Which is
for
ridiculous.
One of the best.
He's not verified,
right.
and he's only got 3,000 more followers than me, which is disturbing.
Yeah.
Considering that, is a guy I had on my wall when I was a kid.
Well, I mean, that shit. Richard Pryor's fucking verified on Twitter. He has 1,700 followers,
and he's dead.
And he's been dead for fucking
15 years.
And he fucking and he signed up for Twitter in 2015.
Yeah,
fuck verified. No. It's dumb.
Now, also there is this though that may be why he's not that. He has 10 likes.
Oh, what the fuck?
So he's tweeted 10.3 thousand times. But he's only liked 10 things.
Well, what the shit, man?
So
get involved.
He's not. Yeah, it's like why would you? Yeah, what's going on here?
I bet all those likes are Jesus-y things.
Oh, they are too. They're probably something. Oh, who knows? Some his church put up.
Right.
He like that. Now, if you really can't get enough Christian Hosoi, you can bring him right to your wherever the hell you are.
How much is it?
Athletespeakers.com. Contact them at 800-916-6008 to book Christian Hosoi for a keynote speech, corporate appearance, grand opening, autograph signing, product announcement, moderated Q&A, or an exclusive meet and greet. They work on the Athlete Speakers will work on your behalf to get the best price for your desired sports celebrity. You got to contact them for fee.
Oh, but you can haggle
on there, but you can haggle. You can haggle. HosoiSkateboards.com if you want to get a board. He's still making the hammerheads too.
Wow.
That design. There it says that it's he's a driving force behind it. The brand features boards based on original shapes and designs with modern takes on it. So he's doing that. Boards are all made in Costa Mesa, California. And if you want to get his book that we talked about there, that you can get for $8.99 on Amazon. Amazon.
That's a deal.
The Kindle version.
Yeah.
It's like $18 for the hardcover.
Yeah.
Whatever. I got the Kindle version and read it for this week's show.
Right.
And that is Christian Hosoi flying through the air.
Unbelievable.
With the greatest of methy ease.
You know he's selling like long boards for the boardwalk and all that shit too
probably,
now, right?
yeah.
He's got to be.
He's got to be doing, who the fuck knows what
I'd buy that stuff,
He's got all sorts of, then T-shirts and his different things.
The merch alone.
He's doing well.
Giving
now.
it to Jesus.
Yeah, giving it all up to Jesus. Literally everything he says, the word Jesus is in it. He has not said a sentence that doesn't have Jesus in it in a long fucking time.
Boy.
And every interview is just about Christ, 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 Christ. Good for him. Like I said, he's our Willie Mays Aikens and him are like what? The few two that have
very rare
that have done like he's been out of prison for 15 years, never had another problem. Lives his life clean, has no issues. So, I mean,
if he needs Jesus to do it, good for you, pal.
He obviously needed something. He needed either meth or Jesus. He needs to have something. So, we're glad. I guess Jesus is better than meth? Question mark.
I mean, when there's a choice between the two,
Jesus is better than meth? Question mark is the name of the show, by the way. That's absolutely the name of the show.
You have to write out question mark.
Yeah. Question mark. Jesus is better than Meth. So that is Christian Hosoi, everybody. If you like that show, I have an idea.
Yeah?
I know how you can tell us.
How?
You can go right to iTunes, Apple Podcasts, the purple icon. Right. You can leave us a review. Doesn't matter what you say. Give us 5 stars. Tell us you're following instructions, following directions. It does not matter. We do not care. It's not for our ego. It's just to drive us up the charts. You can go to shutupandgivememurder.com for all of your small town murder and crime and sports needs, all of your merchandise, tickets to live shows. Everything is right there. Also links to follow us on social media if you want to do that. So you can get all the info early and know what's happening before everybody else does. You can do that. We're at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram, or you can email us, it's crimeandsports@gmail.com. And if you want to make donations and be a hero, like these fine people we're going to discuss in just a moment here, you can do that very easily as well. Super easy. Just go to patreon.com/crimeandsports or head over to PayPal. Use our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com, to make a one-time donation, and both of those can be reached right from shutupandgivememurder.com. It's really just a convenient one-stop place to be.
It really is.
So go there, do all of that, and without further ado, Jimmy, I need it like a pound and a half of meth strapped to my leg.
Oh, I've got a strap right here.
I know. Good. Hit me with it, Jimmy. The names of our producers.
This week's executive producers are Elizabeth, with no last name, but Lil Ryder is part of her email. I'm not going to give the rest of it because I don't want people to email her.
Oh, yeah.
Rachel, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rachel Laminman, or Laminman. I'm at a loss for words for that one. No idea. Jordan Bennett, Jeff Capp, Edward Claringbold, I think yes. And Edward married his Emily, and congrats to the two of you.
Good
Thank
for
you. And congratulations. Under the Sea Fabrics, Christine Conklin, Joseph Minner, John Schaefer, and Christopher Burland. I think that's right.
Okay. Well, thank you.
It's probably
even
not.
if we messed it up.
Thank you all very much. Other producers this week are Cynthia Archambault, yes, Nicole Johnson, Holly Bieski, Blake Stevenson, Catherine Brody, Colby Schaefer, Jesse with no last name, Rebecca Mason, Nick what is that? Manzius? I think that's not right. But I tried. Emma Jensen,
Good try.
Kelly Everett, Mandy Jones, Joey Coco, Ruby Perez, Tracy Holmes, Jay Kumar, Sue Adler Kuiper, Mike Patrick, Matt Avery, Eliana Croniger, yes,
there you go.
Schmoltz McDouple, Schmoltz. You know what I said.
Yeah, you got you.
You're dicking with me, and you're not going to get me to try my best on that one because I don't know how to do that. Alex Taylor, Karen Jorgensen, Michael Buckley, Kelsey Driscoll, Cody with no last name, Justice Stint, Aubrey Stewart, Tamika Van Dunk, Carolyn Rickles, Joanne Gurley, Lauren Gibbons, Arlen Solem, Dylan Arceo. I think.
Okay.
Axio.
Damn.
I don't know if it's an R or a K. Faye Ferguson, Ben Matthias, Matthias, Troy Turnwald, Nicole with no last name, Alyssa Camacho, Christopher Nielsen, Devin Murch, Justin Hinkle. Sorry, Justin. Amanda Schrum. Jerry Boyette, Logan Holman, Greg McMullen, Evan Schmoll, Thomas Smith, Michelle Coyne, Ellie Cruz, Chelsea Morgan, Dorothy Jones, Kimberly Burke, Brendan Abels, TJ and Yvonne, Tom Barry, Sonny Johansson, Alyssa Rubel, Rachel Hilliard Brown, Jesse Hartman, Rob Sukach, Stephanie Alexander, Gary Howard. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Wayne Easlick, Kaylee Spencer, Amy Spicer, Aaron Jarrell, Lee Cannelly, Kira Bai, Kyle Leger, Hillary Emick, Craig Ventura. Craig's back in. Thanks, Craig. Hey. Nice to see you. Karen Edgen. Jesus God, I'm so bad at this. Aaron and Matt
great,
May.
Jimmy. You're doing great.
Not. Ronnie Kumar, Ashley Putas, Scott Cloud, Emily Warwick, Thomas Smither, Tim Hartman, Danielle Volcanes, Tyler Sheets, Brian Verblau, I think, Emmanuel Christian, Chris Voss, Heather Campbell, Patrick Martin, Scott McDonald, Teresa Thomas, Justin Miller, Robin Anderson, Sean Hartley, Krista Walker, Bug, B-U-G, those are all initials, but I'm going with Bug, Mark Foster, Brian Carr, Jude Kendall, Malin Lindbergh, Devin Garrett, Sally Norris, Mitch Mandela Mushrooms. Oh, those are mushrooms somewhere that somebody wanted us to talk about.
Sweet.
Ethan's girl Nikki of Nikki's Shirts and Shit had a birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And thank all of you Patreon supporters. You guys are why we do it.
Thank you, everybody, so much for all that you do for us, and especially the money, because that really means a lot. It helps us.
We're so thankful.
It helps us pay bills and stuff, so we really notice that. So we really appreciate it. It really hits us right where it counts.
You know when I can drive over here, James? That's amazing. That's really when it really hits me the most. When my gas tank has money in it, has gas in it.
I love when electricity is flowing through the wires of my home.
Yeah.
That's really good. So thank you so much for doing all that. What if people wanted to thank you or get you to take 1.5 pounds of meth to Oahu? How could they do that, Jimmy?
You can find me at Whisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks, on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. And I'm not doing that for you. So, but you may tweet at me and offer, and I will tell you no. Where can they find you?
You can find me at Jimmie P is funny. I'm open to ideas, but I can't promise you anything. Or you can just copy and paste my name from the show description and do it that way, and try not to. So you don't have to spell it, basically. I got back on Facebook last week. I hadn't been on there in like 1.5 years, and I accepted 3,000 friend requests, and I have 100 spots left. So get your spots now. There's 100 left. I'll accept the next 100 that
Fire
come in,
sale.
and then it's gone. It's over, and that'll be that.
It's fascinating. Wait until it's full, and then look back in a month, and you'll be down 120 for no reason at all.
Oh, yeah.
It's because Facebook is cycling through some, I don't know if it's a profile ditch or whatever the fuck they're doing, but they get rid of people, so then you can
people
do it
get
again.
sick of you too.
Yeah,
that's
probably that too.
People are sick of us, and you're like, fuck this guy. I hear about his bullshit.
I used to listen to this shit.
That's right. So with that said, everybody, hope you enjoyed this week. Next week, excessively famous person.
Right.
Keep your heads up. A mainstream famous person.
OJ number 2.
Funnier OJ.
Great.
Live from the Crime and Sports Studios. We will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus